Going back and watch the video.
Scott, we ready?
I don't know.
Good afternoon. If I might have everybody's attention, welcome to June the 11th, 2026 Metropolitan Planning Commission meeting. And to go through the agenda, get things started. And I would ask everybody, if that has a cell phone, please manner mode or shut it off, please. And make sure that, you know, if you're going to have anything to say, we got to go to the mic on things, and we'll explain all that when we come up to it. If we may have our opening announcement, please.
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission and the Wichita-Sedgwick County Board of Zoning Appeals would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. For those in attendance, copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and planning department staff reports on all agenda items are available in the lobby. The Planning Commission's and the BZA's bylaws limit the applicant on a zoning, subdivision, or variance application and his or her representatives to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the chairman may extend these times by up to 2 minutes. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please share your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the room. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. All speakers at the podium, please remove your face mask before speaking into the microphone. Please note that all written and visual materials you present to the Commission and the Board will be retained by the Secretary as part of the official record. If you are not speaking, but you wish to be notified about future proceedings on a particular case, please provide your contact information to the Planning Department. The Planning Commission and the Board are interested in hearing the views of all persons who wish to express themselves on all the agenda items. However, we ask that all speakers please be as courteous and concise as possible and avoid long repetitions of facts or opinions which have already been stated. For your information, the Wichita City Council has adopted a policy for all city zoning items. A copy of this policy is available from the planning staff. The City Council relies on a written record of the Planning Commission hearings and does not conduct its own additional public hearings on these items. The decision of the BZA is final. Any appeal of a decision of the BZA is to the district court.
We would go through a roll call. Director Waito?
Yes, sir. Aldrich.
Here.
Zimbelman.
Here.
Fry.
Present.
Meter.
Here.
McKay.
Here.
Dool.
Here.
Bill Johnson. is absent. High.
Here.
Bunce is absent. Warren.
Here.
Joe Johnson.
Here.
Austin.
Here.
Williams Bay. And we have one vacant position. Sir, I show that 11 members are present and 2 are absent.
Thank you, Director. Next item on the agenda, we will be seeking approval of the prior minutes for April 29th. Is there a? Yes, Commissioner Fry?
Thank you. I just noticed that there was a correction needed. One of the speakers identified himself, Anthony Seiler. It says in the minutes, Central County Farm Bureau, and he's with Sedgwick County Farm Bureau. So we just need a correction there.
Okay. Any additional comments, corrections? Let the record show that Commissioner Bill Johnson has just arrived, so that will give us 12 members on the committee.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Austin?
there's a number of typos and mistakes in the minutes, and I don't know that we should take action until those get fixed.
Okay. We ran into that earlier too. So what I'm going to propose to do for minutes for today, or excuse me, the April 29th, May 14th, and May 19th, that we defer the reading or approval of the minutes until those all have been reviewed and corrected. Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion has passed 12-0. Next agenda item, what we're going to do is go through the PC consent agenda items for all the public hearing items. And then what we're going to wind up doing is coming back to a non-public item to hear that. That's the case that everyone's is here for, we're pretty sure. So we want to go ahead and make sure that we can get that out of the way so everybody can go back to work or whatever. So the first item on the consent agenda item is 2.1 subdivision 2026-00030. This item has been deferred to June 25th. So if there's anybody here to hear that particular subdivision item, it has been deferred. 2.2, which is subdivision 2026-00031. That item also has been deferred to June 25th. So if there's anyone to hear that particular item, it's going to be rescheduled for the June 25th. Next agenda item, 2.3, subdivision 2026-00032. That item has also been deferred to June 25th. So if there's anybody here to hear that item, that has been deferred to the 25th. Public hearing item, vacation item. Let's see, VAC 2026-00013. That item has been deferred to July 9th. So again, if anybody is here that particular vacation item, it has been deferred to July 9th. The next agenda item is 3.2, vacation 2026-00019. Is there anyone from the planning commission that would like to hear this item? Seeing none, is anyone from the public would like to hear this item? Seeing none, we will put 3.2 on the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve consent item 3.2.
We have a motion by Commissioner Fry, second by Commissioner High. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We will be the non-public agenda item 4.1. So just sit tight and we will come back to that one. Excuse me. The next agenda item, 5.1, conditional use 2026-00023. Is there, we will be hearing that case. That's correct, staff? Okay, so we will be hearing 5.1. That's a conditional use in the city for accessory apartment, approximately located at West 20th Street North and Fairview Avenue. So we will be hearing 5.1.
Are we?
Next agenda item, 5.2, is a conditional use 2026-00062, also for accessory apartment, and this is in the city. Approximate location is North Edwards and West 3rd Street. Is there anyone on the commission who would like to hear this item? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public that would like to hear this item? Seeing none, we can move 5.2 to consent. Next agenda item is 5.3, conditional use 2026-00066. This is also conditional use in the county to allow a church or a place of worship. Approximate location is East 63rd Street North and 127th Street. Is there anyone on the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public that would like to hear this case? Thank you. We have one person. We will be hearing 5.3. Is the agent or applicant here? Yes, agent and applicant is here. Okay. Next agenda item is 5.5, conditional, or excuse me, zoning 2026-00017. This was moved from May 14th.
Skipped 5.4.
Get back to more.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Got ahead of myself. Next item is 5.4 is the PUD 2026-00012 in the city. Approximate location on this is West MacArthur Road, 3 miles west of Southwest Street. Is there anyone from the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is anyone from the public would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we can put 5.4 on consent. Then going back to 5.5, zoning 2026-00017, which has been moved from 514. It's a zone change in the city from TF3, which is two-family residential, to multifamily residential. Approximate location is East 10th Street North and North Topeka Street. Is there anyone from the commission who would like to hear this case? Is there anyone from the public that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we can go ahead and move that to consent. The next agenda item, 5.6, this is zoning case 2026-00021. This has been deferred to June 25th. So if there's anybody here for that particular case, again, it has been deferred to June 25. The next item, 5.7 or this zoning case, 2026-00022. This has been deferred by the applicant to June 25th. So if there's anybody here to hear that particular case, it has been deferred till June 25th. The next item on the agenda is 5.8, a zoning case 2026-00023. A zone change request in the city from SF5 single-family residential to a TF3 two-family residential. Approximate location on this is North Young Street and West 2nd Street. Is there anyone from the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anyone from the audience that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we can move 5.8 to consent. Next agenda item is 5.9, also a zone case 2026-00024. Change request in the city from SF5 single family to TF3. Approximate location is West Maple Street and South Ridge Road. Is there anyone from the commission that would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public that would like to hear this case? Okay. 5.9. Do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda items?
So move.
We have a motion to accept the consent agenda items as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
In favor, same sign. The motion has passed. We are going to some easy cases that we're going to hear. So we're going to have to hear both of them. So what we're going to do is go ahead and move into the non-public item portion that we have. And again, anybody that's here in the audience, I want to make it perfectly clear that this is a non-public item. So we will not be taking any comments or any information from either agent or the applicant, nor the general public on this. That was already conducted earlier. This is just to clean up questions and concerns that the planning commission has had. Brad?
Yes, thank you. Brad Edelly, with MAPD. We are discussing on 2026-00039 today. The applicants for this case are requesting a conditional use permit of solar energy conversion system, or SECS, and an accessory use battery energy storage system, or BESS, on several properties. Because we've already heard this, I won't go through the whole report, but I will touch on some of the issues and questions that were brought up at the last meeting and go from there. So the very first one is that at the last report, there were some questions regarding the project area and if it would exceed 1,500 acres based on the applicant's site plan and their lease area equating to 1,702 acres. And so staff did reach out to the applicant, noticing that the use regulations in the UZC require a project area to be no more than 1,500 acres. And we asked if they could provide a little bit more insight to what exactly the project area would be opposed to the facility area or the lease area, according to their submitted site plan. The applicant provided staff with a new map exhibit, and that is attached to this report, and we'll also pull it up on the PowerPoint presentation here shortly. And so they did show the fenced area, the facility area, and the project area on that new map with the acreage amounts for all. The applicant did explain that their engineers were able to more accurately fine-tune what would be considered the facility area and the project area. The applicant removed portions of their leased area that did not pertain to the project area, where the solar array or any corresponding equipment would be located, including but not limited to areas around streams. So the applicant states that the facility area is 1,497.3 acres. Originally, the applicant stated that the project area would be 1,490 acres, which is below the 1,500 acre threshold. The project area now is considered to be 1,396.3 acres in size, remaining below that 1,500 acre threshold. So staff does recommend adding a condition if the board moves that way. That would require a new legal description be provided to planning staff prior to the matter being heard by the Board of County Commissioners. And so if you look, this is the map that they provided. It does differ from the site map that is provided in the report as well, where you can see the different areas, including fenced areas, facility areas, and project areas, and where they took those areas out compared to the original site plan. The second issue that was brought up was the MAPC questioned if they could recommend denial of the BES, if it recommends approval for the SECS separately. And staff's analysis is that if it is the will of the MAPC, the BES could be recommended for denial, while the SECS is recommended for approval. Moving on to the third question, there were general questions about what would be considered the start of construction. And staff's analysis is that the term construction would be considered to have begun once the first array of solar panels has begun to be installed. And that definition is defined in the condition of approval number 1. Moving on to the fourth question regarding insurance, the MAPC questioned if the amount of required insurance could be increased from the minimum stated in the UZC or the special use regulations. And staff's analysis of that is that the UZC, what we did was we went back and took a look at what the code requires. And it states that the duration of the construction life and throughout the duration of the construction life and decommissioning of any scale of SECS, the applicant shall maintain appropriate liability insurance as reasonably determined by the appropriate governing body for the SECS facility and provide proof of coverage prior to the issuance of any permits for construction or development. In particular, the required liability insurance shall be in the amounts of at least $1 million for workers' comp, $1 million for general commercial liability, $1 million for automobile liability, and $2 million for umbrella liability. So the staff analysis continues that the MAPC can recommend a condition of approval to the governing body that a higher amount of liability insurance be required if the amount is considered reasonable. Moving on to the fifth question, there were several questions, multiple questions the MAPC had regarding the tax information provided by the applicant, especially in reference to the required community impact assessment, addressing the impact of the proposed SECS in the immediate vicinity as well as the greater area. So in the original document application, the applicant did state that the projected full-time equivalent or FTE jobs created by construction of the project would come to 198. The number of FTE jobs created once the project is operational would be 3. The applicants project the local revenue and supply chain impacts to be roughly $250 million during the construction phase and $51 million during the operation phase. It is not known if the operational phase amount is an annual or a total number. The applicant has since explained that this is based on the BES changing the land assessment values to an increased rate. Whereas the applicant can apply for and be granted a tax abatement for up to 10 years for the SECS portion of the project, the applicant states that the BES would not be part of that abatement, resulting in high personal property taxes and the taxing classification of the property changing from agricultural to commercial. County staff conferred regarding these questions and determined that the numbers given are reasonable to assume that they are at the very least close to being accurate. Now, one thing that I do want to mention is that staff does understand that there is a provision for personal property exemption for commercial and industrial machinery and equipment, or CIME, under Kansas statutes, and that there is no requirement that an owner of a CIME apply for an exemption. If a county appraiser identifies personal property as CIME, it is exempted automatically with no limit to the duration of the exemption. So according to a memo from the director of Kansas Department of Revenue dated November 21st, 2024, BES systems and other items that are determined on a case-by-case basis by a county appraiser through a physical inspection using the 3-part fixture text prescribed in the Kansas statutes annotated, or by the Board of Tax Appeals to be personal property that is distinct and separate from and not in addition to or component of an electric generation facility utilizing renewable energy resources may qualify for CIME exemption. It is staff's understanding that Mission Clean Energy has inquired about this provision to the Board of Tax Appeals and Kansas Department of Revenue. Since the determination of whether a BES is distinct and separate from an electric generation facility, in this case, solar energy production, it is unknown if an exemption would or would not be approved by the county appraiser. So that's a little bit of information that we have been aware of and wanted to pass along to you. Moving on to the last question about the application. There were several questions kind of regarding the decommissioning plan and whether there should be a timeline included that requires decommissioning to begin by a certain time frame and be completed by a certain time frame. There were also inquiries into if a surety bond or other method of assuring monies should be included, so that Sedgwick County is not responsible for funding the decommissioning should the applicant be dissolved as an entity. So staff looked at this, and again, we went to the UZC and the special use regulations to see what the code said. The code speaks to several of these issues, and we have listed the code, and it's really pretty extensive. So I'll touch on a couple, and then I'll kind of summarize at the end of staff's analysis. So the first part is that the applicants are required to maintain appropriate liability insurance, as we've already talked about. But it specifically says throughout the duration of the construction, life, and decommissioning of any scale of SECS. And the minimum amounts are described in the report, and we've already discussed those as well. So the applicants have stated that the liability insurance would be maintained and meets the requirements. They've also indicated that the project would also have personal property insurance for severe weather and other potential impacts with coverage over $500 million throughout the project life. The next part of the code states that the applicant shall provide information and test results of any soil and groundwater testing required by the governing body to the director of the Sedgwick County Department of Environmental Resources and Household Hazardous Waste. For groundwater, the required testing shall be submitted within 90 days of the substantial completion of any such phase of the decommissioning and reclamation plan and prior to the release of any financial assurance. So these items are required throughout the life of the project, including at the decommissioning stage of the project. So these will be done with our environmental resources team as time goes on. The next part is that the applicant shall provide a SECS site and facility decommissioning and reclamation plan, which indicates the planned life of the SECS and the means by which the facility and its site will be decommissioned and reclaimed at the end of the SEC's life. The decommissioning and reclamation plan shall provide that at the end of the project's life or any component of a SECS, all or the appropriate portion of the site's equipment and access roads shall be removed from the site, and the site shall be returned to original condition or restored to such condition to allow use compatible with surrounding uses as determined by the planning department. And so staff's analysis of that is that the applicant did provide a decommissioning and reclamation plan and stated that the planned life of the SEC is about 40 years old or is 40 years. The next part is a lot of code that has a lot of subsections. So instead of going through each one of those, I do want to just kind of touch on the analysis, which kind of also touches on the code portion of it as well. And basically those regulations specify that there shall be a financial assurance and what the amount of said assurance shall be. The cost of the decommissioning and reclamation shall be recalculated every 5 years. If the new cost estimate exceeds the existing financial assurance, the applicant shall deposit additional surety. Any change of ownership of the SECS shall require notification to the appropriate governing body. All equipment, structures, photovoltaic panels, fencing, and cables or wires shall be removed within 12 months after the SEC ceases generation of electrical power. So the applicant has provided a draft decommissioning and reclamation plan that meets all of the above requirements. The applicant estimates the total decommissioning cost would be between $15 to $20 million, not factoring in salvage value. And a final decommissioning estimate would be provided once they select the final equipment closer to construction. The form of financial assurance would likely be as a surety bond, but that too would be finalized closer to the start of construction. So those are kind of the things that were discussed and questioned at the original April 29th meeting. And so with that, we do want to just indicate that, as in addition to the SCCS being requested, that they are requesting this battery energy storage system. And I will say that as far as the decommissioning of the BESS, in their decommissioning and reclamation plan, item 3.2.3, which is an attachment in your report, states that the BESS will be dismantled and removed from the site in compliance with applicable federal and local rules that govern the safe transport and disposition of used equipment or waste. If possible, batteries will be refurbished and reused elsewhere. If the batteries cannot be reused and recycled, the batteries will be disposed of. Lithium-ion batteries headed for disposal will be managed as universal waste, following the rules of the Environmental Protection Agency's Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, as described in Title 40 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 273. And I think I said it was in your report. It's part of the application, so it is available for anybody to see. I don't think it's actually as an attachment, so forgive me for that. We do believe that the SECS and the BESS are in conformance with the Community Investments Plan as stated at the last meeting. And based off of all the information available, staff does recommend approval of the application subject to the conditions that are listed in your report. Staff did add a couple of extra conditions. I'll just note those real quick. At the end of the first condition, we did highlight in red that the term construction would be considered to have begun on the first array of solar panels to be installed. If you go to item 27, we did kind of beef up some of the decommissioning language, saying that decommissioning of any applicable portion of the project shall be completed within 2 years of the triggering event for said decommissioning. Monitoring and restoration may extend past the 2 years to ensure successful revegetation and rehabilitation of the land. And then if you go to the bottom of the conditions, number 40 and 41, number 40 says the applicant shall provide a revised legal description indicating the project area according to the revised project area map listed as an attachment to this report. And then 41 states that the applicant shall enter into a decommissioning agreement with the county to be approved by the county commissioners that would run with the land, shall be recorded with the Register of Deeds, shall require that any provisions contained within section 3D.6.pp 6Z and AA of the Unified Zoning Code be specifically contained within such decommissioning agreement, and that such decommissioning agreement would contain any other terms and conditions deemed appropriate by the Board of County Commissioners. So with that, I can stand for any questions.
Is there any questions from the commissioners for staff? Commissioner High?
On the surety bonds, what type of surety bonds? A, F, top?
I will let perhaps legal answer.
It's going to be typically in that kind of case a bond specifically engaged on the performance. In terms of all the specifics, we haven't gotten that detailed, Commissioner. So it doesn't specify the exact precise type in that regard. But that is something that as it would come in, we would evaluate and see if it was sufficient in the view of the Board of County Commissioners.
Are there any additional questions for staff, for the commission? Oh, Commissioner Austin, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. So in the public hearing, we had some discussion about the start of construction establishment of the solar array, and you came back with the same recommendation. And question I have is, what activities could be done prior to the issuance of a building permit? So typically, those of us in the industry look at the issuance of a building permit. Could they put in their underground because they do mass grading? It seems to me like there's a lot of work that could be done before they would. No, sorry, I'll repeat myself. Some of those is a condition of starting construction, and those some of them is if they can be installed, doing mass grading, doing foundations. So I think it's a little unclear when we say installing the solar arrays. For instance, if they had to have a building permit just to start grading operations, it seems like it makes more sense for that to be the start of construction.
Is Tim Wagner and
anybody
from MACD?
Brad, if I could, I'd like to add a little bit to it. And then we have Richard from MABCD who's here. What I'd like to point out is if you look in the staff report and you look at the recommendation, you look at the conditions, there are a number of conditions that have a time sequence to them. So one of those is number 10, that is part of the site plan review and prior to the issuance of any permits to complete construction, the applicant shall submit a construction mitigation plan. So that is one item, number 10, that the timing of that is before they commence construction. The other one is 13, which is the applicant shall be responsible for repairing any damage to roadways occurring during development or construction. So that one has the time sequence of anything that occurs during development / construction, they're responsible for, that they can be deemed to have reasonably caused. Number 15, prior to initiation of construction, the applicant will coordinate with the sheriff's office regarding traffic safety to and from the construction area. Number 16, as part of the site plan review, the applicant would be required to submit a grading plan. Number 17, the applicant will submit an erosion and sediment control plan for review and approval by Sedgwick County Public Works prior to the commencement of construction. Number 23, within 60 days, the Board of County Commissioners approval, the applicant shall provide a cash held in escrow or form of surety bond as means of assuring payment of decommissioning costs. Number 24, the applicant shall submit a final SECS site and facility decommissioning and reclamation plan, the decommissioning plan, for review and approval prior to issuance of any construction permits. 32B, prior to the end of construction of the project site, the applicant will hold training classes with the county first responders. Number 34, if construction does not commence within 2 years, the conditional use will be terminated. And then 38, prior to commencement of construction, the applicant shall provide a fire risk analysis of the battery energy storage system. So those are just some, I don't know if I've caught them all, but I wanted to point out that there are some timing sequences already in the conditions regardless of building permits. But then Richard, I'm going to turn it over to you if you want to talk about the building permit sequence with a project like this.
Well, I really don't know what the building permit is.
If you can please state your name, please, and your address, and speak into the mic for us.
With the Metropolitan Area Building Construction Department. Okay. Okay. And like I said, we've never done a solar farm, so I don't know exactly how we would do the permit, but obviously there's all the stuff the conditional use would require before we could issue a building permit.
If I could, Mr. Chairman. Richard, so if there's concrete footings, that requires a building permit, correct? Okay. And if they're just putting the poles in the ground, does that require a building permit necessarily? To mount the solar panels on?
Well, it's part of the structures, yeah.
Okay, so yes. Now, is there also a site plan review that would take place?
It's basically, says conditional use has to be approved by the planning department. We would,
Okay, so you would look for the site plan that was produced as part of the zoning process. Okay.
Scott, to justify the county council, I don't want to note that the definition, there is a definition actually for the term construction in the SECS provisions, and it says that construction for a SECS will be considered to have begun once the first array of solar panels has begun to be installed. So it's already defined in your zoning code provisions on this. And so if the planning commission wanted to alter what's done, you could. I would suggest that maybe you consider, if you do that, altering a term so we don't have competing definitions of the term construction.
Thank you. I think that clears that up. I did have a couple other questions, Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman.
Austin?
Secondly, on the decommissioning, the decommissioning period commences, I think it's contemplated after the completion of the useful life or utility of the facility. And my kind of a question or concern, similar to the infamous apartment project out at 21st and 127th East. Should the decommissioning plan contemplate if for some reason the operator applicant is undercapitalized or something that gets partially constructed and what? So I guess we'll just, since that's something the Board of County Commissioners is already going to enter into an agreement with the applicant about, I suggest that maybe they consider to exercise or initiate a decommissioning plan stage for reasons which I know Justin you'll figure out. So.
And Mr. Austin, I'm waiting for the provisions right now. If it's okay, I may opine later on that, but I believe we have that addressed in here, but I'm not finding it right this minute. So I'll keep looking.
Apologize if I overlooked it. I don't have anything further.
Is there any additional questions or comments from the commissioners?
And Chairman, can I supplement my comments earlier? I'm sorry. Philip gave me an inside tip on this that I hadn't caught before. And Philip, could you point to which provision that was again?
Sure. Condition of approval number 24, the facility decommissioning and reclamation plan that complies with all aspects of the decommissioning plan within the zoning code shall be reviewed and approved prior to the issuance of any construction permit. So I think what Mr. Austin was getting at is they get to partial construction and then the project is abandoned. Well, the plan and the financial assurances have to be in place before they start any form of construction. So if they get partway in and there, my understanding, I'll defer to Justin, is that will be available to decommission a portion of the project if they get halfway done and decide to not continue.
Okay, just as a follow-up, Mr. Chairman, just as far as the which is clear, with the county commission that's contemplated, especially if there's a bond that's exercised, because the bond company requires really specific language. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your input and comments. Again, is there any additional comments or questions for the commission? Brad, thank you. If everybody would bear with me a moment. I want to go over the golden factors for zoning cases real quick. The character of the, neighborhood, one factor. The zoning use of properties nearby, the suitability of the subject property for its uses in which it has been restricted, the extent to which removal of the restrictions will detrimentally affect the nearby properties and the owners, the length of time the subject property has remained vacant or zoned, the relative gain to public health, safety, and welfare as compared to the loss in value or hardship imposed on the applicant if the applicant is not approved. The recommendations of a permanent or professional staff and conformance with the request change to the adopted or recognized master plan. I just want everybody to keep that in mind. As far as, as far as on the options that we have, as far as the potential motions, we do have an option to approve the conditional use per the MAPD staff as given. Another option is that we can deny the conditional use. Another option is that we can approve the conditional use with the modified conditions. We can defer the case for a later meeting. We can approve the conditional use without the best portion of it. We can approve the conditional use with a modified decommission for BESS. And we also can approve the conditional use with a modified decommissioning for BESS and a 2-mile separation. What I mean by that, and this is where I'm gonna, bear with me if we can have staff. We do have a map that I had staff look at to determine what that 2-mile radius would be. And if we can have that passed out to the commissioners. And Director, do we have this available on the large screen?
We do not have it available on the large screen, but we'll print some more copies and bring those up. We have 20 copies.
Okay. I've already got one. Thank you, Philip. While the commissioners are looking at the map, and what the map shows is both applicants' proposed sites. And the initial items in blue will indicates what the mileage is right now between the two sites, which is approximately 1.25 miles, 0.38 and 1.86 miles. And what I'm referring to in option 7 would actually move the site plans back to a mile from the center of either direction. So here's the changes. The approval of the conditional use to permit the solar energy conversion system shall include the portions of the proposed project site that are highlighted in the example map as being within 2 miles of the other SCCS application. Condition number 24 shall be modified with additional text to require that any decommissioning plan must indicate how the best components will be disposed of or recycled if the decommissioning plan identified best batteries to be disposed of. Then the plan must be detailed in the names, the location, and where they will be disposed of, and any disposal within Sedgwick County must be approved by the County Environmental Resource Director, and such approval should not be unreasonably withheld. Condition 40 shall be modified to note that if any approved, the revised legal description should also address the reduced area of the applicant as previously described. In support of the motion, I offer the following findings. In additional restrictions to the decommissioning of the BESS will help prevent hazards that could emerge from disposal of the BESS components after their useful life. Not approving the portion of the SEC that is highlighted on the map will help ensure that the application will meet the intent of the Unified Zone Code Comprehensive Plan and ensuring that the SECS facilities are sited appropriately to help preserve the agricultural land use and to help protect the viability and existence of cities within Sedgwick County. So having said that, I would like to make, to move that we approve the conditional use for the planning department staff recommendations with the recommended conditions identified in June's report, except for some changes that I just got done reading. Any comments? We have a motion by the commissioner. We have a second by Commissioner Warren. Any discussion?
Could it be possible, Mr. Chairman, to get a copy of that?
Absolutely.
Before we vote?
Absolutely.
Can we get a copy of that?
I'll run downstairs and have staff make some copies, so I'll be right back.
My apologies. I thought that was already ready. So if we just bear with us, take a moment. Sorry, Commissioner Johnson, I can't hear you. Can you?
Would it be possible, go ahead and do the
Let's just go and take a 5-minute recess.
when you're hot, you're hot.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the non-public portion of the meeting. If I might have everybody's attention, please. Thank you. We are going to continue. We did have the minute that we're talking about is important for June 10th, 2026 at 4:30 p.m. And this is what we have passed out. We're going to be showing up on the screen here. I apologize for the delay on this. And I just want to clarify real quick, and then I want to turn it over to our county counselor to have some input on it. Do we have to put another quarter in it?
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated, so we're working.
This is on the CIP though, right?
Yeah.
Chairman, would you like me to comment some on this now while we're?
Yes, Councilor, please.
Justin Widener, County Councilor, wanted to make a couple comments for planning commissioners. Be happy to stand for any questions. As a reminder, and I've said this on your first hearing on this case and also the first hearing on the TED Renewables application, the application that's in front of you is the Mission Clean Energy application. And not today, the TED Renewables application. That said, as we've talked about in depth before, when the zoning code provisions on solar were adopted, the Board of County Commissioners wanted to ensure that there was at least a 2-mile gap between any of these applications. Both these applications that are pending in front of you are within that 2-mile range. Options for you as a planning commission. In theory, on both applications as they are crafted, but ultimately the Board of County Commissioners cannot waive that 2-mile requirement per the provisions of the zoning code. And if you recommend approval on both of those, the Board of County Commissioners would have to reconcile that ultimately. But you also could recommend, and I'm just going to talk about the case today on this, but you could recommend to reduce it whether to come into compliance with the 2 miles, reduce it because you think almost 1,500 acres is too large and you think a smaller size would be appropriate. Those are options that are in front of you, and your task is to make a reasonable recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. The chairman made findings in his motion referred back to the 2-mile gap and consistency between applications in his findings. That was one of the rationale behind what we're going to show here on the map as a potential for that recommendation. I'm just to reread or to reiterate, I believe this was to have the modified decommission for the best and also that 2-mile separate to ensure a 2-mile separation. I believe Chairman was part of your motion. That doesn't necessarily guarantee that will happen because we don't know what's going to happen 2 weeks from now when the Planning Commission hears the TED Renewables application. But I do think that it would be good to get clarity, Chairman, on your motion as to geographically what you're talking about and if the intent of it, what specifically you would be saying would not be, your motion would not be recommending for approval on this particular motion in this application. But again, we'll look them up. Any questions on that from Chairman or other planning commissioners?
Well, I think we pretty much said, the way I read it on there. And again, my motion was to approve based on what I just read in the map. So what I'm looking at now is getting the maps to the commission, and it would really help when we can get it up on the big screen here. To make it a lot easier to explain when you see things in real life. And I think we're getting really close.
Really close.
Okay, go ahead. Counselor?
Yes, yes, Commissioner.
Did you repeat what you said about a while ago? We couldn't approve. This is the way it is because of the 2-mile limit.
Yeah, I'll do my best to explain that, Commissioner McKay. As a planning commission, you're tasked statutorily with making recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners. We as of, the company requires that any approved large-scale SECS applications be at least 2 miles apart. And as it sits today, there are 0 approved large-scale SECS applications in said unincorporated Sedgwick County, meaning that that there is no conflict with something that's already been approved. But in your recommendation, you're not bound to have to reconcile that conflict if you don't choose to do so. But you also can, ultimately, that conflict, the Board of County Commissioners would have a duty of ensuring that they wouldn't approve 2 applications within that 2-mile gap. And there's actually a very specific provision in the zoning code on SECS large-scale applications that does not allow the Board of County Commissioners to waive that requirement either. But that doesn't mean you can't make a recommendation theoretically to approve both of these as they are proposed. That option exists, but you can also reduce the size of this application, whether for the 2-mile reason that has been talked about or just other reasons. If you think the size is too large, if you believe that, you know, a smaller size is appropriate, if you believe certain portions of the application are say, for example, too close to residences or other uses that you found to be inconsistent with the large scale solar or BESS application. So, Commissioner McKay, I think that you have some options here, but the motion that's in front of you would reduce down the size of this within that kind of pinkish purplish area, and really it overlaps with this particular application on kind of the south and southwest corner of that. In terms of, and I'll look to the chairman to make sure he's the motion maker, but am I correct on that, Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Anything in the area would not be allowed. So the way that, so that 2-mile buffer is, you know, from the edge of the purple to the edge of the purple, if you will. So there would not be any projects allowed within the purple area. That substantiates your 2-mile buffer.
And to clarify, Chairman, that would be just for the Mission Clean Energy application, because that's all that's in front of you today, correct?
That's right. Now, I don't want to since we have that other one coming up, I believe, on the 25th, on the 25th. So, you know, this will be again on the 25th, but as far as this case goes right here, this application, this is what, you know, that's what I'm looking at, and that's what my motion was, and that's what the second was.
This one, we approved this one today. And does that kill one to the south? Doesn't matter. This first one's already approved.
That's a very good question, Commissioner McKay. It would not distinguish what you can or can't recommend on the other application because a couple of different reasons. The zoning application, a conditional use is not final until it's been approved by the governing body and published. And at the point of your recommendation, like say, for example, the motion that was just made would be approved, it would not be final unless and until the Board of County Commissioners would approve it and it would be published. So, and also, as I mentioned before, you can make recommendations that may be somewhat at odds with that 2-mile limitation independently. It would be ultimately for the Board of County Commissioners to reconcile that if that's where you would end up.
My opinion is we've thrown a block in the second one because of this 2-mile ring. I mean, they made it, but for that reason, I won't be voting for this until that's straightened out. Thank you.
Okay, if I might clarify a little bit, what this does, the 2-mile buffer is already in place.
I understand.
But what this does is that it moves things, because the way it is right now, if we approve this application without this buffer, stating this buffer, you are correct, it would cause issues with the second application. What I'm doing, that's what the purpose of this is to clarify not only that buffer, but also remove approximately 10% of the current application.
You better put that in your motion.
Well, that's what it shows in the map.
If you look at this, all he's got to do is
Based
take
on
the
that
purple
map.
area and slide it to the south, east, west,
Okay,
quarter of a mile. And that's what I think we're doing when we approve this project up here, because There's nothing at this point in time that says 2 mile.
Okay, for clarity then, I will revise my motion. Because again, we didn't have the map to show and got a little bit premature on it without having it. I think that caused an issue. So I will revise my motion, to approve the conditional use with a modified decommission of the best in the 2 mile circulation as shown in the map that we have passed out in the maps that's on there. And what that would do, it would scale back approximately, 10% of each of the applicant's proposal. I might be a little rough on those numbers, but as shown on the map, so anything that's in that purple area would not be part of the application.
Chairman, can I make a friendly suggestion on that motion?
If you
The
could
friendly
find that out,
suggestion
yes.
would be that and approximately 10% is difficult to encompass, but I would again suggest that it be just specific to this application. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay. And I think it would be good to clarify if the second is comfortable with that. Commissioner Warren, is that correct?
For discussion purposes on second. Okay, so now we're back where we're at. Commissioner.
So if we approve your motion, I appreciate the effort to try to get this, keep this going. If we approve this and this is a big what if the second one coming in says, well, we're not practical because of this, we're not going to be able to move forward, and they will withdraw, or if we rejected theirs, would this one we're hearing today be able to come back in and ask for an amendment, or how soon would that be? Would it be a year till they can come in and amend? Every solution is a complication. I appreciate the solution. Well, that's just a question to go with your thought.
Excuse me. My answer that would be a little bit the way it is. Again, just in case if the second applicant decides to pull back, that's on them. We don't have to do that. That's their decision on that. But as far as this map and that buffer's still going to apply no matter whether that second goes in or not. That's what's in the ordinance, and that's already stated. Okay, you good? Okay. So additional questions or comments? If not, I'll call the vote. I'll do the go ahead and show of hands, please. All signify by saying aye. We got 1, 2, 3. All opposed signify the same sign. Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. We're still discussing this. So what motion is called? Is there any substitute motion? Is it?
Yeah, I move that we approve as submitted and per staff recommendations as submitted today.
Do we have a motion? Motion to approve recommendations by Commissioner Mayor. Is there a second?
Right, second.
Okay, you got Commissioner Martin. Show my hands. The substitute motion. Please raise your hand. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
If you can keep them raised high, we've got it. So Aldrich is no, Zippelman.
And Scott, if you can read this out when you're done as well, I think that would be helpful.
Actually, if we could just do that,
Okay,
that'd probably be the easiest for me. So Aldrich is no. Zimmelman? Tony, how do you vote? No. Fry?
Aye.
Mater,
Yes.
McKay, Dool,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
Yes.
High,
Yes.
Clontz is absent. Warren,
Yes.
Joe Johnson, Austin,
Yes.
Williams Bay. Yes, sir. You got 7 to 5. Okay, the vote is 7 to 5. Motion passes.
Taking 5-minute recess. Time to. Stay. Still got a pretty good agenda.
That's neighborhood, all people in blue. Knows.
Yeah.
I just want to throw it back to the county and let them deal with this.
Well, that's what's gonna happen. That map, in essence, said that, send it back to the county, but the county is only gonna do what they have legally authorized.
Yep, and right now I think the county is probably, what do you think? 3, 2,
Yeah.
Anybody want a water? I'm not gonna get a water.
Yes.
Blue Ball, Wise, and what do you think Ryan's gonna do? You think he's a no?
Brian?
Why? Ryan,
Brian? Yeah, I think he's, yes.
you think he's a yes for it?
So
So then it might be Powell, Meitzner, and Beatty, yes? It's not in their district?
there you go. Why? They're approaching this with 2 of them. They're in violation of the 2-mile range.
Oh, they both tried to get their applications in. And
The one that got there first wins.
Bob was trying to appease them both. Both applications. Which, media's interviewing people in here now. Yeah, you gotta kick them out. Hey. Yeah, get them out of here. Yeah.
Who is that? Can you tell?
I think it's show 12.
What I was thinking.
I'm trying to see the guy's logo on his shirt. I keep getting blocked. I don't recognize the reporter, but he's got a logo on his shirt. I just can't see it from here.
Look, she's on in the daytime, that's why.
Get us in this.
Still, that we have to conduct. So if you want to talk about yourselves, because you feels good on the other, we got to get back to our schedule.
You're gonna go back in the other room?
We still got an angry mob for the TF3.
Yeah, we still got to do the West Maple thing,
Well, I know.
and they all get to talk.
Yeah. And they did at the DAB, because I was there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but they're all up.
Well,
They should be.
Okay, we are going to continue the MAPC meeting. And let's see, we'll go to we'll recess the MAPC and go to the BZA hearing portion of this. We have two cases. First thing we're going to do is clean up the minutes. We do have minutes for approval for the BZA for April 23rd. Commissioner Fry was absent. Has everybody had time to look at the? Can we have a motion for approval? The April 23rd?
Yep.
Commissioner Fry?
Yeah, actually, I was not absent for that. And I went back and watched the video and I was present on the video. So I'm pretty sure I was there.
Okay, if I could, sir, what I will commit to is that we'll have a meeting with staff to go through the minutes, so. Sorry
Okay,
about
so
that.
motion to approve based on the revisions.
April 23rd meeting.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner McKinney and we have a second by Commissioner Williams-Bay. All approval of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Pardon me? Okay. The next item on the agenda is approval of the BZA minutes for May 14th. We're showing no absence. Can everybody confirm that? Okay, hearing nothing. Do we have a motion for approval? We have a motion for approval for Commissioner Ward and a second by Commissioner McKay. All supportive signifies being aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. First item that we have is BZA 2026-00030. Is the agent or applicant here? Yes, okay, thank you. This is a variance request in the city to allow a 9-foot by 4-foot 10 wall sign on the property approximately East 16th and North Gentry Street. Samuel, is he going to be doing the presentation? Okay. Until he gets here, so I won't delay anymore. We can go ahead and put that, do you want to go ahead and do it, Director, or we can go to the next item? Brad?
Sorry, I think that worked out best.
Okay. Okay, we are going to get back to the BZA 2026-0030, and we will move to the item number 3, which is BZA 2026-00042, which is a variance in the city to allow a reduced width residential manufactured home approximately North Wabash Avenue and East 12th Street. Brad?
Yes, thank you once again, Brad Lee, MAPD. For this case, BZA 2026-00042, the applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the required width of a residential design manufactured home property zone TF3 to family residential. The 0.148 acre property is located at 1306 North Wabash Avenue, and the site is currently vacant. The applicant is requesting the variance in order to install a residential design manufactured home on the site. This is a permitted use in the TF3 district. Residential design manufactured homes are defined in the UZC as a manufactured home on a permanent foundation that has a minimum dimension of 22 body feet in width, a pitched roof, siding and roofing materials that are customarily used on site-built homes, and that complies with the architectural and aesthetic standards specified in Section 4D of the zoning code. A residential design manufactured home shall be considered a single-family dwelling unit. Manufactured homes that do not meet these standards would be considered a manufactured home and not a residential design manufactured home. A standard manufactured home is a specifically defined use that is not permitted in the TF3 district. The applicant is requesting to reduce the required width of 22 body feet in width to 18 feet. All other aspects of the definition would be met according to the applicant. Additionally, residential design manufactured homes are subject to standards found in Section 4D of the UZC, and those standards would also be required to be met. Those standards are included as an attachment to the report. As far as surrounding development, property to the north is zoned MF 29, multifamily residential, and is developed with a single-family dwelling. Property to the south is zoned SF 5, single-family residential, and is developed with a single-family dwelling. Property to the east is zoned SF5 and is developed with a single-family dwelling, and property to the west across North Wabash Avenue is zoned TF3 and is developed with a single-family dwelling. As far as case history goes, in 1887, the subject site was platted as part of the H.O. Burley's third edition, and there are no other zoning cases associated with the site. The property is within the Central Northeast Area Plan Update area. So going to the criteria, the first criteria for granting a variance is that the request is unique to this property and was not created by the applicant. The applicant states that my son is disabled and he needs to be in Wichita. The staff reviews the criteria and unfortunately does not agree that the criteria is met. The size of the subject site is wide enough to place a residential design manufactured home that meets the requirements of the UZC and meet the setbacks required for the TF3 zoning district. The second criteria, the granting of the variance will not adversely affect the rights of the adjacent property owners or residents. The applicant states that this variance will not adversely affect the rights of owners or residents. Staff does not agree with this statement. The requirements for residential design manufactured homes are in place in order to maintain a design aesthetic that would allow a manufactured home to blend into the fabric of the existing home stock of a neighborhood. And permitting a width that does not meet those standards could adversely affect the neighborhood property owners and residents. Number 3, the strict application of the provisions of the code would constitute an unnecessary hardship on the applicant. The applicant states that my son is disabled and moving to 1306 North Wabash would help him be in Wichita so he can go to his doctor in physical therapy. Staff again believes this does not meet the criteria. The UZC does not make exceptions for one's physical or financial situations beyond what is required by code. The fourth criteria is that the variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, general welfare, or harmonious development of the community. The applicant states that the variance desired would not affect the health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community. The staff does not agree with this statement. If the variance is approved, the harmonious development of the community could be adversely affected by allowing a dwelling unit that does not conform to the established aesthetic of the community. And the last criteria is that the granting of the variance will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of the code. The applicant states that this home will be in line with the other homes on this block. And staff does not agree with the above statement. It appears that there are not any other dwelling units manufactured or otherwise in the area that are built to the specifications the applicant is requesting in the variance. So the recommendation of staff is that the request to reduce a required width of a residential design manufactured home does not meet the 5 criteria to grant a variance. However, should the Board of Zoning Appeals find that the request does meet the 5 criteria, it is suggested that the BZA adopt alternative findings and grant the variance with the recommended conditions listed in the staff report. And we can go to site pics. So this is looking east into the site. Next picture. This is looking south away from the site. Next picture. Looking west away. Next picture. Looking north away. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Any questions for Brad? Brad, I do have one. Are there any administrative adjustments that can be done on this to help alleviate some of the issues?
I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Commissioner Williams-Bay.
Is the width of the mobile home the only issue?
Correct. That's the variance that we have before you today, is to reduce it from 22 feet to 18 feet.
Any additional questions? Brad, thank you. Agent or applicant? Is the agent or applicant available? I thought we had the agent here.
I think we did that for the zoning cases, and I'm not familiar with the BZA. We can call and see if we can get them here, but that's the best we can do at this point. We have the agent or applicant for the other BZA case.
Fire. All right,
Do you have a staff question?
yes.
I go ahead. Brad, on the photos that looking onto the lot had the fence back there, can we bring that picture?
No, I would say that's a little bit more, mid to forward of the property line. The property line, the sidewalk you can see in the foreground of the picture, so.
And the
I'm sorry.
we've got a drawing here showing a property dimensions.
Yes.
Would that, as on scale from this, would that be?
I honestly don't know. I did not go out and measure how far that fence line was from the property line. But the site plan does show, 26 feet from the, front of the property to the structure, proposed. It does not indicate where the fence is on the site, so I do not know if they plan on keeping that fence or what their intention with that is.
Okay, I'm looking for something that says 26 foot. I'm not. Yeah, I don't have it. Yeah, okay.
Looks like it's building setback line, but it looks like it.
Yeah.
So if you look at the image on the screen, the front property line is facing the top of the page.
Okay.
Where the sidewalk is, and then there's an arrow of 26 feet in between the sidewalk and the
Building setback.
Okay.
structure.
Okay.
Okay, any additional questions, Commissioner Fry?
Thank you. Brad, with the intent to reduce the size of the manufactured home from 22 feet to 18 feet, were you able to see the applicant's project, the home, to see that it fits all of the other design standards of the residential design manufactured homes? That it meets that criteria?
The only thing that we have is the site plan that it's based off of, and with the dimensions that are giving, it would meet all the setbacks and all the other requirements according to the UZC. So the only thing that looked like it was not in conformance was the width.
But again, all the other standards, roofing, siding, that would be up to MABCD to make sure it's in compliance?
It would be up to either MABCD or the planning department. I mean, we would have to have that as the permits are applied for. They would have to meet those conditions at some point.
Commissioner Zimmerman?
Brad, do you know, have they already bought this manufactured house?
I do not know that. That would be a good question for the applicant.
Commissioner Wednesday?
What?
It's just, he's got 18 and what's it, 22 on the side.
You gotta push your button.
Figure if they had bought it, this is an easy case.
Right.
Just didn't.
Did you hear me?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I just know if you were. I do not know what the 22 number is in reference to.
Okay.
From the site plan.
That's what it would be if it.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess that's what would be if it were. Okay. To be required to conform, but I don't know that that's the scale or anything like that, obviously. So it looks like it's an 18-foot wide by 64-foot long.
We have a public hearing.
Commissioner George says you have a question. Commissioner Warren?
Open up for public hearing.
Well,
that would be an option that we have, we could, for public hearing, and then if we ever do get with the applicant, he just wouldn't really have a time or opportunity for rebuttal on that, because, we wouldn't be able to call the individuals back on that. We could defer this, just what would
There's always the option to table it to the end of the meeting and see if the applicant can arrive here before moving it to a different meeting. We can see, Scott went downstairs to give him a call to see if he's able to come to today's meeting.
well, the other option we can do right now would just go ahead and put this on hold and go back to the original agenda item number 2. Okay, so we will do that. We'll just table this for right now. We will go back to agenda item number 2, BZA 2026-00034. Samuel.
Good afternoon, Samuel Dietz, presenting the planner. Case BZA. Speak a little bit more into the mic. Case BZA 2026-00034 is a request for variance to allow a 4-foot 10-inch high by 9-foot long unlit wall sign on property zoned B multifamily residential. Property is located on the north side of East 16th Street and approximately 150 feet east of North Harvard Avenue. There is currently a sign already on the property. No permit was granted for that sign, which was added in approximately 2015 when the property changed ownership. The previous property owner maintained an identification sign in the same location, which exceeded the allowable size for an identification sign. This property has had non-compliant signage since at least 2007 and is currently developed with a multifamily dwelling. The character of the neighborhood around it is residential. Properties to the north and northeast are zoned PUD 96 and developed with multifamily dwellings or are undeveloped. Property to the east is zoned MF 29 and developed with a single-family dwelling. Property to the south is zoned SF5 and used as a city park, and properties to the west are zoned MF 29 and developed with both single-family and multifamily dwellings. The subject site was platted as part of the Trumbull Edition in 1966, and variance was granted to reduce the front setback to 0 feet for off-street parking only in 1968. There are no additional cases associated with the site. As far as the 5 criteria for granting a variance, I will note that we have the original criteria that were provided by the applicant. The applicant also did submit an additional statements after the staff report was written, which provides a little more clarity on each of those items, and that has been provided for each of you. As far as the original statements, the first one, the request is unique to this property and was not created by the applicant. The applicant states a replacement sign of the same size and location was added when the property changed names. No additional lighting was added, and there is no backlight. It is a very low light sign. Staff does not agree with this statement. The Wichita Sign Code is applied uniformly to all properties within the B district. Despite the sign being installed by the previous owner, the current sign was added by the applicant. The property does not have unique characteristics that would preclude the addition of a ground sign, pole sign, or identification sign as allowed by the sign code. Criteria 2, the granting of the variance will not adversely affect the rights of adjacent property owners. The applicant states that the granting of the variance will not adversely affect the rights of adjacent property owners or residents. Staff does not agree with this statement. The sign will be seen by adjacent property owners, and the approval of this variance and others like it could have negative visual impacts on nearby property owners. A wall sign is out of character with other residential properties in the area. Criteria number 3, the applicant states that the strict application of the provisions of the sign code would constitute an unnecessary hardship on the applicant. Staff does not agree with this statement. The applicant has not shown how the application of the sign code creates unnecessary hardship. The sign code allows for a ground sign, pole sign, or identification sign in the B district. A freestanding ground or pole sign with up to 25 square feet in sign area is permitted. Criteria 4, The applicant states that the variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, order, prosperity, convenience, general welfare, or development of the community. Staff does not agree with this statement. Staff determines that the granting of the variance could affect the public health, safety, moral, order, convenience, prosperity, general welfare, or harmonious development of the community. The existence of a wall sign in a residential area could be considered a substantial deviation from the neighborhood context, and it does not promote harmonious development. Criteria number 5, the applicant states that the granting of the variance will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of the Wichita Sign Code. Staff does not agree with this statement. The Wichita Sign Code is applied uniformly to all properties within the B District and allows for signage appropriate for residential uses. The spirit and intent of the code is to promote harmonious development within specified development standards and does not guarantee the continuance of existing non-compliant signage. If we could go to the site photos, please. This is looking at the applicant provided view of the existing sign. This is looking northwest towards the site. The sign is located on the far left of the photo. This is looking
Hold on 1 second. The CPA or CIP is on the way.
This is looking east away from the site and neighboring residential properties. This is looking south away from the site towards the city park. And this is looking west away from the site. I believe that's all some photos. With that, staff have found that the wall sign does not meet the 5 criteria required to grant a variance. Should the board determine that all 5 conditions necessary for the granting of the variance can be found to exist, then it is recommended that the wall sign be granted with the conditions found in your staff report. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions for staff? Seeing none, thank you. Agent or applicant, please.
Thank you. Kim Edgington, PSC Consulting, 144 North Emporia, agent representing the applicant. I apologize. This is the microphone situations that unusual. Thank you for the opportunity to address the particular sign. We did not originally install, as it is noted in the staff report. We simply were replacing an existing sign that we were unaware had not been permitted back in prior to 2015. I was here just a month ago representing this same property owner, and then several months prior with a similar issue that brought up the fact that some of these signs were not permitted. So that's what has gotten us here today, is an attempt to make sure that we have all of the proper permitting, that all of these signs are done in a manner that meets all the codes. This one is different because the prior one was within a PUD, so it was a PUD amendment. Given that this property is not part of that larger property that we spoke about last month, then we have a different process today going through the BZA. This particular elevation of the building is really the only logical location. All of the other sides of the building have balconies, entryways. So this sign does not face any other residential structures. It is unique because of the orientation of the building that this facade faces Fairmount Park. So it really is the only practical placement for this sign. So there are pole sign allowances on this property. However, the parking, we don't have any parking that we could lose in order to place a sign on a pole. So, which we feel would actually be a little more intrusive even than the signage that's just on this wall. That aesthetically, this is a better option than dropping a pole sign somewhere on this lot. So, so the impact on the adjacent property owners is minimal since there are no residences facing this way. The sign is not lighted. It's very minimally designed to just blend in with this building. So staff has recommended some alternative findings for granting this variance. We submitted a secondary list of criteria that we feel meet all of the 5 variance criteria, and we respectfully ask that you would follow staff's alternative recommendation and approve the variance for this sign on the south elevation of this building. And I would be glad to stand for any questions.
Just to clarify, you do support the alternative findings that staff has given, correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the agent?
Thank you.
Is there anyone from the audience like to speak on this? Anyone from the audience like to speak on this? No need for rebuttal, so we will bring it back to the commission for discussion. Seeing no discussion, I will make a motion that we approve based on the alternative findings from staff as given, and this will meet all 5 criterias for granting the variance.
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Johnson. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The same side. Motion has passed unanimously. Okay, is the applicant or the agent here for BZA 2026-0042?
Sir, we got information from a gentleman who is here who seems to know the applicant. We, as staff, left a message, but a gentleman said he also can get in contact and believes that maybe he could be here in about 30 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Director Waddle, you have a comment, suggestion? Commissioner Bill Johnson?
This question for staff. If there's nobody in opposition here, would we go ahead and take this without the applicant being here?
If there's no one here from the public, is that what you're discussing?
Opposing.
Okay, so this question for anybody from the audience that like to speak on this. Anyone from the audience would like to speak on this variance? Saying none, we can bring back the commissioners for a discussion. We've already heard from staff on this. Is there Commissioner Bill Johnson, do you have anything you want to add on this, or?
I was just curious if we could. I'd rather like to hear some discussion.
Okay, is there any discussion on this?
Who asked for it to be heard in?
Yeah, that's, now the commissioners want to chat about it. Well, let me ask you this. What is your preference? Do you want to uphold the staff recommendations for denial? Would you like to defer this? Or would you like to approve it?
I guess I would like to approve it, making sure that they got to go through their criteria on the siding and the roofing.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Bill Johnson and the second by Commissioner Warren. Is there any other discussion? Commissioner Joe Johnson?
With those changes, then we're saying it meets 5 criteria.
Yes.
That was acknowledged by both motion makers that it does meet the 5 criterias. Any input from legal?
Is there alternative findings on your handout, perhaps? Findings on the handout?
I don't see them. Yeah. I basically felt like it was different if, as long as it falls under the appearance of being a residential.
Perfect. So you're finding that all 5 criteria have been met? Thank you.
I guess I would like to know if it's been purchased or not.
How are we gonna know that the applicant and the agent's not here?
Well,
And
I guess we can defer it.
Okay. Yeah, you gotta make that a substitute motion to defer? And on what grounds we are deferring?
Information not available.
Yeah.
Owner applicant.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion to defer based on lack of information.
2 weeks.
And that would be
June 25th.
on June 25th. We will take the second motion. All in favor of the motion to defer until June 25th? Signify by saying aye. Can you give a show of hands, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And all opposed, same sign. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the motion passed 7-5. Is that correct? Okay. Thank you. Let's see, that was it, right? Okay, so we will be adjourning out of the BZA portion, and we'll be going back to the public hearing portion of the planning commission. The case that we're going to be hearing now is conditional use 226-00023. Agent or applicant is here. Okay, the agent applicant is here. Okay. Christina?
Good afternoon, everyone. Christina Reed with planning staff here to present Con 2623. I'll just give you a brief overview of what's happened in the past few months here. So this was first heard by the Planning Commission on March 12th. It is the case has been deferred several times because we asked the applicant to provide a survey of the property, specifically the building that was used as an accessory apartment. That was provided to you guys via email this week. And what we concluded is that the garage or the building in which the accessory apartment is situated meets all the setbacks with the exception of one corner, that'd be the southeast corner. They measured that at 2.9 feet from the property line. The applicant can file an administrative adjustment to reduce that setback by up to 50%. They don't need to go to the full 50%, but that is an option. However, the height and the dimensions of the garage will require a variance. So we did not get a description of the height from the garage, but we measured the lap siding that is on the property. And if we could go to a picture of looking east towards the proposed accessory apartment. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you. So we did an approximate measure of the boards. Those appear to be about 12 inches in width or 8 to 12 inches in width. I'm sorry, in height. And so we concluded that the accessory apartment is approximately over 26 feet in height, which is more than what is allowable per administrative adjustment. Additionally, no accessory structures can occupy more than 1/2 of a rear yard, and this does occupy more than 1/2 of the rear yard. So that will, again, require a variance. Because when located in zoning districts MH or more restrictive, they are subject to section 3D72 of the Unified Zoning Code. So that includes front and side setbacks as well as height. So no accessory structure shall exceed 60% of the allowable height requirements of the district unless the accessory structure conforms to all setback requirements for principal structures in this district. And so for the most part, it adheres to all setbacks for accessory structures. So the apartment, the accessory apartment is in conformance with the community investments plan and the Wichita Places for Full Plan. At the time that the report was prepared, we were recommending this be deferred to June 25th to allow additional time for the survey documentation to be provided. However, that has been provided and the applicant is here to speak on this matter. So, yes, so with that, I will stand for any questions.
Christina, just to be, for clarification purposes, the structure is still not in compliance, is that correct?
That is correct. Not without a granting of a variance.
Okay. Commissioner Williams, Bay?
Just to kind of refresh my memory, they originally issued a permit for a one-story structure
That is correct. And they constructed a second story.
without a permit.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for staff? Saying none, Christina, thank you. The agent or applicant, please. So can you speak up just a little bit louder and into the mic?
Jose Raimundo, and the property is 2044 North Fairview Avenue. I'm speaking on behalf of my fault today.
Do you have any comments that you would like to make on this?
We are, the original plan was to build a one-story garage, as it was mentioned, but decided the house was really old, and we decided to build a second story. And we weren't sure if we needed a permit or not, and we got told that it would be fine as long as we got a permit going on. So as soon as we got a permit, I'm not sure about that. I didn't bring it with me last time I did, but the only reason we did the second story is because the house is very old and it's beginning to rot, and if we were to renovate, it would just fall apart and there's mold and stuff. That's why we wanted to move into the garage and get a permit. There is no insulation yet, or there's no drywall yet. As soon as we get the permit, we will start that.
That the conditional use was approved, contingent, let's say, upon that you bring the structure into code, would that be something that you would be able to do?
Yes, sir.
Any additional questions for the applicant? Commissioner Warren?
You're willing to bring it back down from a two-story building to a one-story building?
We like to keep it at the two-story.
Yes.
But still needs a two-story is not, that structure is not in compliance. You would have to bring it into compliance.
I have a question.
That would sound
Commissioner
I'm confused by compliance. What do we mean by bring into compliance?
Essentially, they could request a variant, they would have to submit a variance application that can't be decided today, because the variance would have to be publicized, just like the conditional use was. So it'd have to be at a future meeting for the Board of Zoning Appeals to consider two things: the height of the structure, which is too high right now, and the size of the structure, which takes up more than 1/2 of the rear yard. So it'd be a twofold request that the Board of Zoning Appeals would have to consider. If the variance was approved, then the structure would be into compliance. If the variance was denied, they would have to alter the building.
So could we do those at the same time if we defer to let them come back with the appropriate application?
Yes, you essentially could defer this application to the time at which a variance would be considered. Again, it wouldn't even be 2 weeks. It would be we'd have to schedule it once we receive that information. But yeah, the only way they bring it in compliance without altering the building would be to seek a variance.
So there's no way we could approve this today.
look at the zoning administrator as well. So what's interesting is right now you're being asked to identify whether or not an accessory apartment is appropriate within the zoning district at this location. This one happens to be desired in a structure that is out of compliance. So could you approve an accessory apartment today? You could. The tricky part is it's identified in a structure that is not in compliance with the zoning code.
That clarifies it a lot. Thank you.
I'm in kind of an awkward situation here because we have a staff report that I can't tell what our recommendation is to defer, but you're considering the case and I can't figure out, are we recommending a staff denial or are we recommending approval or are we recommending deferral? Right now I've got deferral listed on the staff report. I'm going to look to Philip and Christina for an answer on, are we as staff recommending denial? Because I see alternatives in here if you choose to recommend, if you want to approve it, but I'm not clear what our staff recommendation is.
I would say that the staff recommendation was a deferral because we received the survey yesterday and didn't have time to necessarily alter a staff recommendation.
So quick question, if we do defer, what exactly would that achieve? I mean, would the applicant try to, at that time, you know, do the application for the variance and everything that's needed? Or why the main purpose of the deferral had to do with the survey. That's been submitted, correct?
That is correct, but then the survey determined that the building is out of compliance with the zoning code.
Okay. Commissioner Joe Johnson?
Yes. Do you intend to tear down the original structure?
It's the original structure will be, as in the house, right?
Yes.
Yes, we tend to tear it down and, rebuild it. That is just a temporary, the garage will be a temporary home until we, demolish the original house and restructure.
So you're gonna rebuild it?
Yeah, we're gonna rebuild.
So this will still be an auxiliary apartment?
Yeah, but does that open up another question on whether that garage is a legal dwelling or not?
If it didn't have a house to go with it?
Well, I mean, I think that's up to the code enforcement there to find out whether they can actually do that. Commissioner Austin?
Just a clarification on the state alternate findings and recommendation. Was that alternate recommendation, if I understood you correctly, it was based on submission of a survey which we received? And then secondly, is the alternate recommendation, does that require them to still file for a BZA?
I think it would be pertinent to add a condition that the conditional use for the accessory apartment be contingent on that the BZA be approved. Because right now you have a structure that's out of compliance.
Right, I understand that, but now what the applicant was saying is that they want to live in the garage until they get all that taken care of, which I don't know what that time frame is. So my question basically for staff would be, is that legal? Can they reside as a temporary residence in the garage, until this happens, or is that totally not allowed to begin with?
Chair Cox, Metropolitan. Metropolitan Planning, for the record. This is interesting. In a normal situation, we have a primary dwelling, we have an accessory structure with an accessory apartment being requested. Happens all the time. Sometimes the people will move into what's called the accessory apartment, and the front becomes what truly would be the accessory apartment, still legal. Here, we're now finding out, or I'm at least now finding out, that this is going to essentially become the primary structure. So obviously it violates numerous setbacks. And it's a primary structure. Once the front structure is gone, sounds like the front structure is not livable. It's an interesting question. It becomes the primary structure once the other structure is gone. And then the new structure that's going to be built in front, sometime that we don't know at this point when, could be it could be accessory structure again, and the one out in the back would be the accessory. Otherwise, we have a primary structure, and you can't have the accessory in front without a different zoning approval. It's a rather sticky wicket.
This is a mess. Commissioner McKay?
I have a question to staff. Is there a possibility that sounds like they don't know what our rules are and we don't know what they did wholeheartedly? Say defer this for 2 weeks, you guys sit down and set up a program, what you're going to do, and then come back and either take it or decline it.
If I could, yes, I think someone else's microphone is on. I think there would be benefit to deferring it because that would allow staff then to have a recommendation. I understand now why it's been kind of an exciting afternoon. I understand now why the staff report did not have a recommendation in it because we had some very important information we were waiting for. Now that we've gotten that information, we haven't had time to analyze it. So if we get a deferral, that will give us an opportunity to give you a menu of options about what needs to be done based on our understanding. We've also learned today that they intend to demolish the principal structure that's the house that's on the property. So that, and rebuild it later on. So that sets up a whole different sequence too. So I think a deferral would be very beneficial, at least from a staff standpoint, to hopefully give you some streamlined options.
Okay. Anything else? Commissioner Wednesday?
Yes, I have a question. Is anybody living in the primary structure now? Is it?
No. Yes.
You're living in the structure now?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking is that in what world would we allow a garage like this be the only house? And then there's no guarantee that they're going to tear down and build the original structure. And so what are you doing to a neighborhood when you do that? It becomes a hard one to approve when it's not livable. There's no insulation. Don't know if there's any plumbing in the accessory. I have a hard time seeing going forward without knowing exactly how they could accomplish what would need to be done.
Is there?
Okay, I think the consensus then is to go ahead and defer. I'm gonna make a motion that we defer this application or this case until was it June 25th? Is that it?
June 25th is the recommended date. That's also the date when you have the other solar application as well.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting that heavy blade right there. So what's the next,
It sounds like July 9th would be the next.
July 9th? Okay, let's go ahead and defer this until July 9th. That will give staff hopefully plenty of time to go out there and look at everything, review everything, and come back with a great deal. So I'll make that a motion that we defer until that time. Commissioner Joe Johnson?
I was curious if anyone here to speak against this. Do we ask that?
I would, because you haven't followed the rules. You don't understand them and.
No, in the audience.
Yeah. The audience, okay. If we're gonna defer it, does that? I'm just going to ask, is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak on this? Saying none, that answers your concern on that.
I'll second the motion.
I will
Second your motion.
Okay, the motion deferred until July 9th. We have a second by Commissioner Mayor. All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The bill deferred.
Thank you.
The next agenda item that we have would be 5.3, conditional use 2026-00066 in the county. This is for the conditional permit for the church or place of worship. Samuel? You're up.
Does it need to change? And churches allowed residential.
I know. All right.
Hey, Colin.
I'm gonna ask, is anyone in the audience here that wants to hear this case also? Or that, yes, okay. Okay, Samuel.
Second deeds, presenting planner, conditional use CON 2026-00066 is a request for conditional use for a church or place of worship on property zone RR Rural Residential District. Property is 9.75 acres and it's generally located on the south side of East 63rd Street, south within 500 feet west of South 100.7th Street East. The purpose of the request is to allow a church on a property with less than 20 acres. Subject site is currently developed with a single family dwelling on the north side of the property and it's used for agricultural purposes on the south side. The unified zoning code defines church as a place of worship with premises for site use primarily or exclusively for religious worship or related religious services, or established place of worship, convent, seminary, or a similar facility owned or operated by a notified religious group for religious activities. Proposed site plan indicates space for a sanctuary, meeting space, and classrooms. Within the Unified Zoning Code, there are 12 conditions related to a church or place of worship. Those may be found in your staff report. This Unified Zoning Code requires self-screening of non-residential uses or abutting residential zoning districts. Properties on all sides are zoned RR, and a minimum of a 6-foot self-screening fence is required along the property lines. The applicant has proposed an evergreen landscape buffer in lieu of solid screening along the east and west property lines. The character of the area is rural and low density residential. All of the properties are zoned RR and used for either single family dwellings or agricultural purposes. Subject site is not currently platted, however, the MAPC did approve a plat in January for the Ashburn addition on the site, however, that has not been recorded at this time. The subject site does have access to East 63rd Street South, which is a paved 4-lane county arterial street with open ditches on each side. The site uses water from Sedgwick County Rural Water District number 3, and the sewer service will be an on-site lagoon. The requested conditional use is in conformance with the community investments plan, which identifies the area that's appropriate for agricultural or vacant, which encompasses areas that are undeveloped or used for agricultural production. Agricultural land is an important natural resource. Pockets of low density residential uses without full range of municipal services likely will be developed in areas on the urban fringe and primarily are used for agriculture. The applicant is proposing a church to utilize existing buildings on the property. Proposed use does not need to utilize municipal services and is designed to serve the rural area in the vicinity. The requested conditional use is also in conformance with the purpose of the RR Rural Residential District, was to accommodate large lots in family residential development in areas where full range of municipal services are not available and not likely to be available in the near future. Once again, this is a reuse of existing buildings on the site. We could go to the site photos, please. This is looking south towards the site. This is looking east towards the site. This is looking north away from the site. This is looking west away from the site. This is looking southwest away from the site. You can see the evergreen plantings along the property line there. This is looking east away from the site. This case was heard at the Derby Planning Commission and was approved 9-0 with 2 additional conditions. That the conditional use is approved only for a church or a place of worship. An event center is not permitted and the facility shall not be marketed to non-members for weddings and other events. In addition, amplified sounds shall not be audible beyond the property lines between the hours of 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. The Derby Planning Commission sheet should be in front of you. In addition, staff have received public comments on the case, and those should also be available in front of you. Staff, with that said, based on the golden factors, staff are recommending approval of this case. With that, I'll stand for your questions.
Is there any questions for staff? I have a quick question. Sorry, do you have a comment? Yeah. The zoning code shows in the place of worship to be operated and owned by a bona fide religious group for religious activities. Can you define what do you mean by bona fide? That seems like a wide brush. I'm just curious, what exactly does that mean?
Justin Wagner, County Councilor, I think that would probably involve a case-by-case analysis. I mean, I think there's a whole, if you're talking about a religious institution, there's a whole host of things that could involve. So I hesitate to limit it to a sentence or two. So I think it would involve a case-by-case, multi-factor analysis. I know that's not a very specific answer to your question, but
who determines whether or not a religious group is legit or not?
I think in this case, it would probably come down to the zoning administrator. That's, I would imagine, in that kind of situation. Am I correct on that? Maybe JR wants me not to be correct on that.
Or do you want to touch that?
No, sir, I actually, no, sir, I actually don't. I think county councilor would probably be right if there were a question. I have not been asked, nor have I reviewed it for whether or not it's bona fide. I would say, and counselors can correct me if I'm wrong, the government's generally going to be rather restrained from determining and telling a group whether or not it is a bona fide religious group and their associated practices.
And I would concur with that.
Yeah, I just thought that statement sort of asked some questions, other questions there. Thank you, Commissioner Austin.
Well, received a letter that came in, it looks like after a staff report was prepared from the Derby Planning Commission, and I didn't know if staff had any comments relative to the recommendations from the Derby Planning Commission.
So the sheet you have in front of you is from the city of Derby. They wanted us to transmit their approval and the conditions by which they approved it for your guys' consideration. So this, with the Derby letterhead on it, is from the city of Derby.
Okay, and I guess I was just wondering whether you guys had an opinion on their recommendations or not.
I guess they're up for your consideration on if you feel that they should be part of your recommendation as well. I personally don't feel they're unreasonable, but it's up for the board to consider if you want to add them to anything that you want to consider today.
Any additional questions, comments? Thank you. The agent or applicant, please.
Good afternoon, Clay Dixon, 2016 50th Street South, Wichita, and the agent for the applicant. Yes, I am back. So, real quick question or answer to your question. The IRS has declared that a bona fide church by issuing a 508c1a. So, and that will have a little bit more to do with what I have to say. So, the question about Derby's recommendations, we did agree to those in Derby. So we're okay with them. They were concerned that this was going to become an event center. The reason for that concern is because it was an event center illegally. When the applicants first took on the property, they hosted a couple big weddings out there, much to the chagrin of the neighborhood and of MADCD, which shut them down. So this is not an appropriate location for an event center, and we're okay with it saying it can't be an event center. This is a church. The church is a sanctuary at Heritage Meadow Estates. The sanctuary operates as a faith-based ministry and serves as a community-centered gathering place where individuals and families can participate in small groups, educational programs, volunteer opportunities, community outreach, and faith-based fellowship. One of the reasons this property is ideal for what they're wanting to do is its rural setting. Potential areas of focus for the church will include a garden and an orchard where members, as part of their outreach, can come out and be involved in that orchard, and they're in that gardening. They want to have potential areas of focus include marriage and family enrichment, financial stewardship, hospitality, and community building, creative arts and craftsmanship, nature-based learning experiences. So their outreach involves this rural setting greatly. The garden and the orchard are not intended as commercial agricultural operations, but more tools for education and fellowship and service and stewardship of the land. So that's kind of the purpose of what the church is. One of the things that I wanted to bring up too is that when the site plan was done, you'll see there's 3 buildings on the site plan. There's 3 buildings on there, the old farmhouse and then 2 converted accessory structures. The church does want to build a greenhouse out there, and that is not included on the site plan. But we will submit a secondary site plan prior to county approval. The building, the greenhouse, will sit pretty much directly west of the largest building there on the south. So yes, right there. The orchard and all will be set on that south half of the property. The parking areas, as you can see, are pretty wide right now because we don't have established occupancy for the main building yet. That's something that the architects and Metropolitan Area Building are working on as part of the planning process. So with that, I mean, we can assure you that with that 508C, there will not be advertised at event center. I think that would be a real issue with the federal government. So I stand for any questions and a microphone.
Yeah, can we get another mic, please? See, any questions for the applicant, Commissioner Fry?
Thank you, Bob. Gary, just want to go over the landscape plan again, where in the staff report, it says the applicant proposes an evergreen landscape buffer in lieu of solid screening along the east and west property lines. Is that the entire run from north to south on both east and west?
No, it's there is a landscape plan that's been submitted. The landscaping buffer goes just south of any of the structures. So if you look where the light green turns to dark green, that's about where the trees will end. Without the green line on there, you can actually see the trees that have been planted. We will have to add a few additional on the south end.
I don't know that I see that on the site plan, so that's why I asked the question. Or is that this landscape plan here?
There, yeah, right there.
Okay.
And I believe you can see the trees on there, on that picture that you have in your hand.
I got you now.
Is that dimension?
Any additional questions? Okay, Mr. Dawson?
Well, clarification, is that dimension approximately 400 feet? Would it be better, to Commissioner Fry's question, just to establish a dimension on that?
Yeah, I don't know what we have there now. In terms
So
of
just say the north 400 feet, something like that, because it's what, 995, so it'd be 414. it'd be a little bit less than half.
Yeah.
Maybe about 40% of the depth, which seems like that would encompass it.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Commissioner Warren?
So you're building a sanctuary?
The southern building is the sanctuary.
Okay, so it just need modifications?
It will go through modifications. It has been somewhat modified already. However, after the general contractor and the architect and MABC have gotten together, they are working on a different set of plans for that, and it will be built, of course, to code. And that'll require that the plating be complete before they can get that building permit, of course.
And do you agree with all the recommendations and comments?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any additional questions, comments from the commission? Seeing none. Is there anyone for the audience that like to speak on this? If so, please come to the podium and state your name for our records, and you will have 3 minutes.
My name is Cassie Campadilli. My address is 6535 South 127th Street East. My husband and I own the property adjacent to the property proposed for conditional use. I respectfully request that the Planning Commission deny the conditional use permit because the proposed use is not compatible with the surrounding area and would create substantial adverse impacts on the neighboring properties. From venue to church to agritourism to art, entertainment, recreation, there's really no telling what this property is going to really be used for. It seems that the least restrictive conditional use is church. The site plan with a staff report does not show additional buildings or construction. However, current activity on the property and renderings of future development do not coincide with the report, which Mr. Dixon just addressed that, but there is activity over there currently. The staff report states the applicant is proposing a church to utilize existing buildings on the property. Again, it wasn't included on the site map of the application. If the construction truly is a greenhouse and orchard, as stated during the Derby Planning Committee meeting, why aren't either one of those things represented? As I said, what exactly is the property going to be used for? Is the church designation just a way to get around event zoning restrictions? They have owned the property for almost 2 years, and in that time have shown complete disregard of applicable rules, regulations, and zoning laws. We have no confidence that they will all of a sudden choose to abide by those restrictions that are put in place by conditional use. It seems as though they are using church as a loophole to continue hosting events on the property. When asked by the Derby Planning Commission whether they intended to have wedding receptions on the property, they answered that it is a legal use and all churches have weddings. While this may be legal accessory use of a church, they are using the option as a workaround because they know the application likely would not have gone through if presented as a venue. If approved, we ask that the time and noise restrictions similar to an event venue be placed on this property. As neighbors, we do not want this conditional use to be approved. In the unfortunate event that it is, we would like to be informed of the necessary process if the terms of the conditional use are violated.
Thank you. Is there any questions for the speaker? Commissioner Williamsbury?
Yes.
Ma'am, could you point to your residence? Is that the one you see?
We live adjacent to the east of the property.
Okay.
And I've lived there for 25 years.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional questions? Ma'am, thank you. Appreciate your comments. Is there any more speakers? Please come to the podium, state your name, your address for our record, and you have 3 minutes.
That's not very much time. My name is Brian Ream. I live at 6450 Eagle Drive in Derby. To the left, our left, I own that piece of property, that 10 acres, and I've owned that for many years, and that is planning to be a ranch, a house and barn, horse barns. I didn't know my buddy was gonna die to the right. He died, and she's a realtor. She bought it, no for sale signs, no nothing, bought it, started turning it into that. And if I build my house, it's gonna be probably from here to that wall from this place. And there's gonna be people everywhere. She just said that there's gonna be people everywhere. I'm gonna have horses. They're gonna be messing with my horses. If my horses get out, then I'm gonna be liable. Could be sued to death. Anything that happens over there. I've got a lot of money invested in this deal. And if they build that thing, that piece of ground, I apologize. That piece of ground is gonna be worthless. I mean, my only option would be to do what they're doing, to propose it be something like this. You know, they hired a guy from the planning commission to try to come in here and talk you guys in. I know you all know him, and I hope you look through that and you know, there's going to be noise over there. Just the way they make it sound, there's just going to be people everywhere running all over that place. And those are very narrow tracts of ground. They're not wide, not 40 acres, which in my opinion, a church should be on. So I can't tell you how bad this is going to be for me. And then that group, that neighborhood to the left, they're already complaining that they can hear booming noises and people over there. They claim it as a rural area, but that's not very rural right there. There's bigger places to put this thing. Anyway, I don't really know what more to say, but it's quite a burden on me financially for them to do this. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Is there any more for the planning commission? Richard Joe Johnson?
How's your property zone?
It's agriculture right now.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, sir, thank you. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else like to speak on this matter? Is there? Yes, okay. Please state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Amy Lemire. I live at 12929 East Buckthorn, so I live east of them. My mom lives over on Eagle, which the 4th house in. So the main concern that we have here is we just do not feel like this is going to actually be a church. This property was bought. It was turned into a venue. Supposedly they did not know the regulations, which I kind of find that funny since she is a realtor. I know she doesn't do commercial, but she does know that she can't sell a house in town and someone go and put a business in it. So our main concern is that this church is not going to be a church. We're going to have people there that's making noise, which has happened. I know she said that there hasn't been, when we were in Derby, she said there hasn't been any events there for a year. However, there has been events, whether it was family, I don't know, but she has had something there, which that noise, even if it was small and family, we were able to hear it from our house. We were able to hear it over on Eagle. That is our biggest concern, is that we do not trust what's going on. I feel that she got in trouble and she got shut down, and that's why it's not a venue. Her agent did say that he told her this would not be able to be a venue out in the county. So we're going to backdoor it and we're going to say that we're going in as a church. And I just wish you guys would really look at this. If you do pass it, please make sure that you put strict restrictions on it, because it is affecting our community that we live in. Thank you.
Any questions for the speaker? Saying none, thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this matter? Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter? This is your last opportunity. Saying none, we'll bring him back for the commission. Excuse me. Bring him back to the application.
Thank you. I don't think we really have anything else to add. We pretty much covered everything, when I was up here before. Yes, mistakes were made early on, but this is a totally different direction, and we have assurances in there. Like I said, we do have the IRS filings. They're going to have to meet that. The conditional use, we know, can be taken away. Understand that as well. So we're good.
Okay. Mr. Dixon, I do have a question. I'm assuming that there's going to be outdoor activities, correct?
Well, yes, sir. Like I said, we're looking to put in an orchard. There will be gardening, like any other church. Yes, there will be outdoor activities.
Outdoor music or anything of that nature?
There's no, according to what we agreed to with Derby, there will be no amplified music after 9 p.m. or before 9 a.m.
Okay, because I didn't see really all that from the staff report. Is that because of the basis of the application or?
So I believe that that's coming to you from the Derby Planning Commission. So that's what their recommendation was to the county commission. So there's a separate piece of, a separate document that will have the Derby city logo on it. And the conditions of approval that they are recommending is listed on there.
Okay. Is there any questions for the applicant? Do you have anything else you want to add or?
I don't think so.
And you said you agree with all the Derby comments.
Yes, we agreed with that at Derby. There was a concern because of past activities, and they wanted to get that put in there. That was their recommendation, and we agreed to that.
Okay, Commissioner High?
What's the name of the church?
The Sanctuary at Heritage Meadow Estate.
Okay, thank you.
Is there additional questions? Seeing none, I will bring it back to the commission.
I'd move to approve based on staff recommendations and the letter from Derby.
Motion approved based on staff recommendations covered, including information submitted by City of Derby. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner McKay. Is there any additional discussion? Commissioner Ford?
Thank you. Just want to be clear on something, and it's for staff. So it says in the staff report, church or place of worship is permitted in the rural residential district by conditional use approval subject to the supplementary use regulations. If they had met all that criteria, would that have come before us? I'm saying yes, and I'm saying no.
I'm going to look to everyone else to correct if I get it wrong, but based on the size, the conditional use is required, and the supplementary use regulations apply based on what land use it is. And so those would automatically be conditions that they have to meet. So when it comes to you as a conditional use, we will recommend it, if we recommend it for approval, with any additional custom conditions, but also those supplementary use conditions, because those are automatically attached to that case.
So no matter what, we were going to be hearing this case.
Yes, sir. In this instance, because of the size of the property.
Okay. And then because of the UZC requires the solid screening fence along both property lines from north to south, but they're only proposing half, do you agree with that proposal from the applicant to only go half the distance, considering the zoning code requires it to go all the way?
I'm going to have to defer to staff for information on that one.
My understanding is that they have to screen the non-residential use. So the back 5 acres that are not being used non-residentially, they're possibly more agriculture, would not have to be screened.
Because the west is agricultural, but the east is single family. They're all considered ag.
All the properties around are rural residential. So the use that has to be screened is a non-residential use next to residential zoning districts. That doesn't mean they have to screen the whole property. They have to screen the non-residential use.
And since these are zoned ag, I got you. Okay. Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? Commissioner Austin?
Just quick question on the concerns that was expressed was that conditional sort of activities transway or segue to type use, and are the conditions such that they are consistent with our limitations on event centers in the county?
I would, Commissioner Austin, maybe ask if you are asking about the conditions in the staff report, or is this including the conditions in the staff report and from the city of Derby? That might make a difference in the answer.
It would be the conditions in the staff report, the PD staff report.
Director?
Yes, if I could, sir, it'll take me just a moment to look up what the recently approved regulations are concerning event centers in the county. So,
Okay, while we're waiting, is there any additional comments that any of the commissioners like to make? Seeing none, we will pause.
Mr. Chairman, while we're waiting, is there a Knicks Spurs game tonight, or no? I'm keeping track. Just keep-
You're asking an Oklahoma fan?
okay.
Director Lincoln?
Yes, sir. So, in looking this up, there is now, with what was recently approved for event centers in the county in terms of requirements, it would require a minimum of 20 acres in order for an event center to take place on the property. A conditional use would be required. All buildings and activity areas other than a driveway would be required to be set back 200 feet from the property lines. And all buildings and activity areas other than the driveway would be required to be set back 600 feet from any dwelling unit not located on the subject property. And that's existing dwelling units. Your neighbor can't build one and then you have to move your event center. It's just the existing ones. And then there's also a condition that was inserted that portable toilets would not be placed within the setback. And the limitations, there are hours of operation limitations. I'm going to have to look those up separately. I think those were modified from the recommendation. But those are the highlights.
But it's not an event center, correct? So why are all these? What are we looking at? If it's not an event center, no.
I am sharing that information just based on a question from a planning commissioner about would this property comply with the restrictions that would apply to event centers. And so I'm just listing what those are.
And to answer your question, Commissioner Warren, it was just a question that one of the neighbors had commented on about expanding uses, that it was a attempt to segue into event centers. So I think it's helpful to understand the county limitations on event centers, that this doesn't meet or can't meet that criteria, but it does, at least in my mind, some concern when church activities can be fairly large events with parking and stuff. And I don't know if there's a need to provide some kind of limitation or a permit to the scale of activity. If the church is holding a social function or something, but it's just trying to address the concern by the neighbor.
Mr. Moore, any additional comments?
Call the question.
Okay. We do have a motion for approval. We do have a second. So we will call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Same sign. The motion passed unanimously. Next agenda item is 5.9. Zoning case 2026-00 024. Christina?
Thank you. This is zone case 2624. The applicant is requesting a zone change from single family to two family, and they submitted their own protective overlay for this zone change request. And the primary reason for this zone change request is for duplex development. The subject site is 5 acres in size, located on the north side of West Maple Street, within a third of a mile west of North Ridge Road. The parcel is currently developed with a vacant commercial building and a single family dwelling. Should the zone change request be approved, there will be no change in setbacks, parking requirements, or maximum height. The key difference here is that single family zoning requires a 5,000 square foot minimum lot size and only allows single family dwellings in terms of, or that's their primary purpose, while two family zoning requires 3,000 square foot minimum lot size per dwelling unit for a duplex. So that'd be a total of 6,000 square feet. The subject site is currently not platted. Platting would be required prior to development. Given the specific requested zone change, each duplex would be on a single platted lot and cannot be developed in a multifamily orientation. A multifamily in TF3 zoning requires a conditional use, which would be presented at the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission. So to continue the harmonious development of the community, the applicant is proposing a protective overlay. I did receive an email from the agent for the applicant. They have spoken with the neighbors between the DAB meeting and now, and they are proposing a new protective overlay, and they will be distributing copies of that to you guys this afternoon. But the one that we received, all structures would have an attached garage with, and then the facades would have masonry elements such as brick or stone and high quality architectural composition shingles. The character of the neighborhood is residential with commercial south of the abutting arterial street. A little bit of case history. In 2024, the Wichita City Council denied a zone change request from single family to multifamily, and that was zone 2444. The requested zone change is in conformance with the Community Investments Plan. The Community Investment Plan's Wichita Future Growth Concept Map recommends the subject site is primarily appropriate for new employment and commercial uses, but primarily new employment. The locational guidelines of the Community Investment Plan, which provide a framework for decision-making regarding land use changes, state that higher density residential uses and neighborhoods serving retail and office uses should buffer lower density residential uses from major commercial and employment centers and industrial uses. So the moderate density housing that would be spurred on by duplex development would buffer much of the lower density housing to the north, and then the commercial uses to the south across West Maple Street. The purpose of the two-family residential district zoning is to accommodate moderate density single-family and duplex residential development. The TF3 district is generally compatible with the urban residential and urban development mix designations of the comprehensive plan, and the subject site is within an urban residential area and thus aligns with the goals of said plan. Staff is recommending approval of the zone change request subject to a protective overlay. And this is based on the golden factors that are listed on pages 3 and 4 of your staff report. At the time the staff report was published, we did not receive any public comment, and I think that was due to the timing of the notification of mail out. However, I have received additional comments. Some were submitted via email to you earlier this week, and some are provided on your table there. And this did go to the District Advisory Board on June 1st, so last Monday, and they recommended approval 6-3. And with that, I will go to the site photos. This is looking north into the property from the sidewalk on West Maple Street. Next slide, please. This is looking south away across West Maple Street. Next slide, please. This is looking west towards one of the vacant buildings on site. Next slide, please. This is looking east towards the site. And with that, I will stand for questions. Thank you, guys.
See, any questions for staff? Seeing none, thank you. Agent or applicant?
Kirk Miller, K.E. Miller Engineering. Got the handout of what we're proposing for additional protective overlay. like I said, Kirk Miller, Kate Miller Engineering, 117 East Louis. I'm the agent. We're fine with staff comments. We agree with the protective overlay, the little modifications they did with that. And we did meet with some of the neighbors after the DAB meeting, and we got some feedback from them. We got some feedback from the DAB.
Yeah, I'm gonna interrupt you real quick. Can you state your name and address for all records?
Okay, Kirk Miller, Kate Miller Engineering, 17 East Louis. I don't think you.
Yeah, being recorded though.
Yeah, okay. And we had the DAB meeting, met with some of the neighbors after the DAB meeting. We got feedback in the DAB meeting of what the neighbors' concerns were. And we came up with this overlay to address it. We got a few more comments and we kind of addressed those the best we could also. I'll go ahead and read this for the benefit of the audience since they don't have copies. Additional to what's already in the staff report, we're saying item 1, a 6-foot cedar fence shall be installed on the west, north, and south property lines for the entire development unless the adjoining property owners want to leave their existing fence. Number 2, a minimum of 3 trees shall be planted on the back of the lot between each structure and the existing adjoining neighbor. 2 trees shall be planted in front of the lot. Item 3, windows facing existing neighboring properties shall be limited to per bedroom on the second floor. If the bedroom is on the corner of the second floor, windows shall be placed on the side of the house. Item 4, front building setback shall be platted at 20 feet to maximize the distance between the structure and the existing neighboring properties. 50% of the buildings may be constructed between 25 and 30 feet from the right of way, and no structures may be constructed more than 30 feet from the right of way. Item 5, back patios shall be at the north elevation of the structure. Item 6, landscaping shall be plants, trees, shrubs, and grass. Item 7, no adjacent structure shall have identical front views. Changes that differentiate adjacent structures can include variations in porches, roof lines, and differences in facade material. Number 8, the proposed development shall have a maximum of 25 residential structures consisting of 50 units and more than 2 stories above ground. Item, the proposed development shall have lighting on the front of the lots, which is directed downward and inward away from neighboring properties, and 10 each residential unit shall have a front porch no less than 10 linear feet. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Is there any questions from the commission to the speaker? Commissioner Austin?
Thanks, Kirk. Is the developer / builder, are they going to build side-by-side duplexes or are they going to build stacked duplexes?
They'll have to be side by side. That's where we put the garage in.
Okay, just one
The
clarification.
attached garages. Otherwise, they're going to be stackers, yeah.
Thank you.
Any additional questions from the commission? Seeing none, I'd like to get with staff. Is there any comments on the additional protective overlay information from the applicant? Director, do you have any comment or do you want to wait? We'll hear from the public first or?
Yeah, it would probably be best to hear from the public first. That'd give us a little bit more
Okay.
time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hang tight. Sorry. Well, actually, we do have a question. Kurt, can you come back to briefly?
Sorry. This paper's talking about back patios. Are there going to be back decks for the second floor?
I don't know.
Okay.
The idea was to have a patio on the first floor. You can't see, and the owner's here today, he's out of town, so he can't answer that question, but I can try to see if I can get a hold of him while we're here and get an answer. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions?
Yes.
Kirk,
Commissioner Fry?
sorry, just want to make sure I'm clear on your addition to the protective overlay.
Mhm.
You are also in agreement with the original proposed protective overlay 482 with the staff recommended changes in red?
Correct.
So all of those still stay in play?
Just this.
And then
Yes.
this is an addition?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any additional questions before he sits down? Saying none. Commissioner Johnson, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just take exception to getting things on the day of our deliberation. We can look at it, but what about the people in the audience?
Please.
Yeah. I think we should defer if they want to add new things. Let's defer it and come back again.
Well, we also just saw it ourselves here, so there'll be time for the audience to speak on this. It's what the will of the commission wants to do. I think we need to go ahead and finish out our process. And after we get done with that, if it's still the will of the commission or any of the commissioners defer, we'll look at that then. Okay, seeing nothing else, thank you. We're going to open up to the public for comments. You will have 3 minutes. So if there's anybody who wants to speak on this matter, please come to the podium. State your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this matter? Yeah, 3 minutes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Karen Powell, 218 South Ashley Park. I'm the Ashley Park HOA president. I've lived in Ashley Park for 26 years. I'm opposed to the zoning of the rezoning of this property, and the HOA is also opposed to this rezoning as well. Golden rule number 1, it requires a good fit for the neighborhood, and I submitted pictures. Hopefully you all have these. If you just nod your head, I submitted these in advance. If I need to pass this around, I will. But that gives you an idea of the character of our neighborhood and the feel for it. The proposed zoning, proposed development. We don't have a drawing on a paper napkin, so I can't really compare with what it is, but I can compare to how he's taking care, or the lack of care he's taken of the property in the 2 years that he's owned it. It's been seriously neglected, with trash continually accumulating. Grass was unmowed for months, being waist-high times for lengthy periods of time. Vagrants were allowed to be present. Structures are open regularly. After recently cutting down trees there, they were accumulated in huge piles and becoming a fire hazard. The character of the neighborhood is clearly single-family. It's bordered on 3 sides and well-established single-family homes. Even the CIP land use compatibility guidelines talk about this being not a good fit. Quote, higher intensity development should be discouraged from locating in areas of existing lower intensity development, particularly established low density residential areas. Glen Eagles and Ashley Park are those low density residential areas. Your own guidelines discourage this type of development. Golden Rule 3, can the proposed development be a good neighbor? The personal viewpoints of individuals must be taken into account. And then I'd also echo have you hear the echo of the people from 2024, the 2024 case, and their comments. We do have history with this developer now, in that he hasn't taken care of the property for these 2 years. So we have even more to show that this is not he won't be a good neighbor to our development. Golden Rule 5 requires you assess a relative gain to the public health, safety, and welfare as compared to the loss of value or hardship imposed on the applicant. Clear Ridge Investments has not shown that the property cannot be developed as single-family homes. The developer is trying to change the status quo, and he hasn't done a thing to do that. He hasn't shown us anything. Again, not as much as a drawing on a napkin. We don't know what's happening, and very little information. He didn't do it last time.
Your time has ran out.
2 minutes.
I'll give you one more minute.
Okay. We didn't show us anything in the last case either. The application for duplexes is really cloaked as the same as last time because of the fact that the conditional use option can be used to require or to allow for multifamily houses. And I'd ask that the commission consider that is a two-step process rather than a one-step process to get at the exact same thing that was denied in 2024. And we don't be fooled by the fact that the application says duplexes. It can be turned into multifamily housing later on down the road by taking another bite of the apple. As you weigh and balance these issues, I'd ask you whether the applicant is truly interested in being a good neighbor and being a good fit. We have no demonstrated hardship to the applicant if he's not able to build single-family homes in this area. I'd ask that you deny.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else from the audience that would like to speak? Again, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you. My name's Karen Ryan. I live at 217 South Ashley Park. I just recently moved back home after losing my husband, and I bought this house in this neighborhood because of the neighborhood and the community, and it was perfect fit for me and my 3 shepherds. The issue isn't about opposing growth in our neighborhood. It's denying need for housing. Our community understands that growth is inevitable and housing options are important. However, growth should be planned in a way that is compatible with the neighborhoods that already exist. The parcel in question serves as a transition between 2 single-family communities. Rezoning it to a multifamily would introduce a level of density and intensity that is inconsistent with the surrounding land uses. Residents purchase their homes with reasonable expectations that adjacent properties would develop in a manner consistent with the existing zoning and neighborhood character. This proposal also raises concerns about precedence. If a parcel is located squarely between 2 single-family neighborhoods, can be rezoned for a substantially more intense use, what assurances do homeowners have that similar changes will not occur elsewhere? Consistency in zoning decisions is important because it creates predictability for residents, for property owners, and for future development. Supporters may argue that housing addition is needed, additional housing. That is a very valid concern. However, the need for housing does not mean every location is an appropriate location for higher density and development. The problem with where this is at, the higher density, it's going to cause traffic problems, parking pressures, noise, demands on local infrastructure, roads designed to serve as single-family neighborhoods may not adequately accommodate the additional vehicles generated by a multifamily project. Likewise, emergency access, drainage. I did submit pictures at the beginning of the week of the poor drainage behind, because I back up to this 5 acres. It was flooded all through the whole summer and half of my backyard. So I'm concerned about the drainage issues, and public service should be considered before approving such a significant change. The last meeting, a fire department stated that one way in, one way out. Fire apparatuses, fire trucks could not get in. So if a unit in the very north end of that 5 acres catches fire, they can't get a fire truck back there. You've got 3 surrounding neighborhoods with Kansas winds. It could take us all out. I just want you to think about all the possibilities. Good planning principles emphasize compatibility and appropriate transitions between land uses. Jumping directly from single-family homes to multifamily buildings creates a stark contrast rather than a gradual. May I have one more minute?
You do have other speakers.
Just real quick. I won't read everything.
For a second.
Thank you. Rezoning decisions should be based not only on what can be built, but on what best serves the long-term interest of the entire community. Once zoning is changed, the decision is difficult to reverse and its impacts will be felt for decades. I urge the council to preserve the integrity of these neighborhoods and deny the request to rezone this 5-acre parcel from single family to multifamily. Responsible growth should enhance our community, not disrupt the character and expectations of the residents who already call it home. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this? Please, sir, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for our records.
Excuse me. My name is James Jameson. I live at 775 West Harmony. A year and a half or 2 years ago, we were doing the same thing, so here we go again. I have just a few comments. The Millers and at District 5 Board indicated that Wichita needs more affordable housing. Couldn't agree with him more. However, do you call $2,000 to $2,500 a month affordable? That's equal to over $90,000 per year to make. I don't think that's affordable. We've already spoken about the fire management. History of this developer, occasionally he develops apartments, gets good cash flow, 2-3 years, he sells them off, makes a profit, and who knows what it's going to be after that. It's surrounded, we surround a $300,000 to $450,000 housing, and he's going to put this in. I feel that the Sedgwick County Assessor is going to lower the value of our housing. And finally, we offered to buy him out and make him whole. There's a number of us that offered to do that because we feel very passionate about single-family homes. And those of us that offered to buy him out can afford it. In fact, we were going to build houses there because we're getting old. We can't stand 2-story houses, etc. But he didn't want to do that for profit. So I urge you to do the same thing you did last 18 months ago, 2 years, and say, no, we are not going to do this. Thank you very much for your attention in this matter.
And thank you, sir, for your comments. Anyone else from the audience that'd like to speak on this? Ma'am, please state your name and your address for our records.
Eileen Kautzman, 7729 West Harmony. I am a backyard adjacent to this property, and I can see all the way in. I am concerned, like they said, you put in 50 families. That's 100 to 400 people, say 2 to 4 people to a thing, in a community of 3 sides of single-family homes. Most of us who are now even older and we all enjoy our homes and the peace and the quiet. I agree, senior living would be ideal because I would bet most of us would probably buy a plot and we'd build our homes in the same neighborhood we've lived in we've lived there 38 years now. I also am concerned about, we have a bike path down Glen Eagles. We have kids walk to school on the streets. If they cannot get out onto Maple, and it's against the light, you'll see the sun in the morning in your eyes. They come around and they go through Glen Eagles on home, back out to the light up in Ashley Park. You've got kids going to school and you got bikers on that bike path. That's a lot of extra people. The other thing is, we've already talked about, we've not seen a single thing what is really going to be put there. Lastly, my husband and I, like I said, we would invite every one of you, come to our house. We'd like you to look out at this enclosed property and see how putting on 25 duplexes is going to enrich that area. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter? Please come to the podium. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address for our records.
My name is Deb Hageman, and I live at 104 South Brown Thrush Circle. Our home is on the furthest eastern street, Brown Thrush Circle. We are adjacent to rental homes that were pre-existing, and then a host of fourplexes. We see the incident of fence jumpers frequently. We've had to repair and replace fencing on the east side of our home frequently. This year, we had a recent break-in, and the snow reflected the tracks of at least 2 people who were passing through or over the fence into our yard and lot and further into the neighborhood. As the snow remained, we noted at least a dozen separate tracks. Previous to this, we've had exhibitionists and car break-ins. So the rentals on the other side of the fence, they're loud, they have more lighting, especially in the nighttime hours, more physical activity that's disrupting to our lives. The reason why we own our home is to be in a quieter, safer neighborhood. We've recently installed alarms and cameras at all corners of our home in an attempt to collect information and provide a deterrent. The downside is that this community, being rental, is transient, so continued reinforcement by our system and our presence is required. We've had the benefit of the Homeowners Association adding an 8-foot tall linked fencing to the north portion of our lot. We have a home and then a lot. This fence was recently cut and people are coming through it. Adding more multiple family dwellings will not only be a more noise and light nuisance, but will also provide for an increase in trespassing and crime. Should all Ashley Park residents have to secure, monitor, and police their own properties, as Steve and I are currently having to do, our neighborhood, and for many of us, our main investments, will decrease in desirability and value. We do not want this for our neighbors. We do not need any additional trouble. We encourage you to say yes for single-family homes.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please. Again, 3 minutes, and please state your name and address.
Certainly, thank you. My name's Richard Powell. I live at 218 South Ashley Park. Been a resident there for about 19 years now. I thought I'd give you an idea of why a lot of these people you see here live in the Ashley Park neighborhood and also in the Glen Eagles neighborhoods, especially in Ashley Park. We have neighborhood covenants. We have covenants that our residents actually really like and support. We talked about the fact that these covenants help us propose, they give us direction, they give us stability, they give value to our neighborhood. These things, every house we have is a single family home. In order to live in our neighborhood, you have to own the home. We don't have rentals in our neighborhood. We don't have subleases in our neighborhood. The people who live in those homes have a vested interest. Other covenants that we have limitations on property improvements and architectural changes. We have committees that review those things to maintain the sanctity of our neighborhood. We have requirements that says you'll have a lawn, you'll mow it, you'll have trees, you'll have shrubs, you will have aesthetic appeal to your home, your residence, in the street. We control the size of the lots. We control the size of the homes on the lots, so things look reasonable. They look nice. There's no exotic things out there like that. We do not allow recreational vehicles to be used as temporary homes. Of course, the city ordinances are applicable to the public streets, but driveways and such are applicable to our homeowners association in Ashley Park. We don't allow any commercial business to operate out of a single family residence in Ashley Park. We have limitations on yard signage. There are certain signs that are allowed by statute, by ordinance, etc. Those are appropriate. Other signs we don't want you to put in your yard. Thank you very much. We have issues, we have guidelines in our covenants that deal with the collection of trash, of surplus lumber, materials, metals, things like that. We don't like that. None of our residents do too. They wholly support those things. We have sightline restrictions dealing with fencing. We have covenants against loud noise, crowds, things that are not appropriate for family living in our neighborhoods. No offensive behavior, etc. We even go so far as we talk about our garage doors on the front of our homes. If you're not actively working with that garage door and you're out in the back of the house or whatever the case like that, we like our residents to keep the garage doors closed to maintain, again, sanctity and the appeal, the curb appeal of our residents. People like that. Any changes that you do to your house, if you want to paint your house bright green, put orange stripes down the middle, probably won't go over. We have that, again, architectural review committee that keeps consistency in our residents. I personally oppose what we've been talking about. I can't add any more to it. but we agreed that there are about 30 seconds, sir.
I'll give you 30 more seconds.
You're so kind. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would add into the very end that once again, mention the fact that there are concerns for the welfare of the children in our neighborhood. Maple is a busy street. There's a crosswalk, not more, but a few yards outside of the driveway that's going to be coming in this proposed development. And then there's also a main thoroughfare street, Glen Eagle Street, that runs from Maple all the way to Second, that also has more traffic. An addition of 25 some families would even increase that residential traffic on this main thoroughfare. I have no other things to offer, so I appreciate your extra 30 seconds, sir.
Your time has been allocated. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter? Again, please come to the podium, your name and address, and you have 30 seconds per my clock.
Good afternoon. My name is Erin Gomez. I reside north of Glen Eagles off of 2nd Street, 7729 West 2nd Street. I'm also a licensed Kansas realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services since 2019, and West Wichita is my primary market. So I'm speaking today just both as a neighboring homeowner and as a real estate professional as well. So at the June 1st hearing, a board member had asked whether there was evidence that this rezoning would negatively impact property values in the neighborhood, and staff had responded that they were not aware of any at that time. So with that being a planning answer, I figured I would come today just to provide some sort of like market answer as well. So as a realtor, I spend my days helping buyers evaluate neighborhoods, not just homes. And one of the most important factors in that decision-making process is the neighborhood character. Glen Eagles and Ashley Park are established owner-occupied communities. They're quiet, well-maintained, attractive neighborhoods with a consistent residential character. That character is not accidental. It's one of the reasons people choose to live there, and one of the reasons homes in this neighborhood retain that value. So my professional opinion is straightforward, that the introduction of 50-plus rental units into the interior of these communities in the backyards of 21 properties would fundamentally change the character of the community, and it would negatively impact the marketability and the value of all the surrounding homes, not just the ones that it directly abuts. It's not a question of whether the proposed units would be attractive or whether the developer intends to build a quality product. It's a question of compatibility. The value of neighborhood comes not only from individual homes, but from the stability, predictability, and the character of the community surrounding them. Buyers recognize that every day, and markets respond accordingly. The applicant has argued that this project serves a housing need. However, he also confirmed that they will rent for approximately $2,000 to $2,500 per month for 4-bedroom units. And HUD does cap the market rent for 4-bedroom units in our Wichita market at $1,784. So this is up to 40% higher than that. So I would ask the commission, if it's not affordable housing, not workforce housing, and not addressing a documented housing shortage, what public benefit justifies permanently changing the zoning of this property at the expense of all the nearby property owners, especially when a compatible alternative already exists with the existing zoning with single family use. I've submitted written comments for today's meeting containing detailed market data, community investment plan citations, and analysis of the golden factors. Because of the time limitations, I can't cover all of the points today, but I respectfully ask that those be considered as part of the record when making a decision on this. Current market data shows strong demand for owner-occupied patio homes in West Wichita, and they serve downsizing seniors and empty nesters who want to remain in the community, preserve neighborhood character, and can be developed under property's existing zoning. It's not a choice between development and no development. It's a choice between compatible development and incompatible development.
Speaker, please.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hello, my name is David Bader. I'm at 114 South Ashley Park. I hate public speaking, but this has got me riled up enough to be here today. Simply 2024, what happened? This was shut down. What changed since then? I mean, our single family home value has gone up, and now we're going to put a turd in the middle of it? I don't think so. My only point is, I count.
Sure, appreciate you.
I withdraw that comment. This duplex set. There's at least 14 protective overlays you're trying to force into this rezoning. It makes no sense. It doesn't fit. Count them. It makes no sense. That's all.
Thank you. Is there any additional comments, speakers? Please name, address.
My name is Kim Watts, and I live at 8006 West Maple. So I'm the big property on the other side of Glen Eagles, and I have been there almost 40 years. So I have seen the whole neighborhood change, and I have seen the traffic increase. And I'll tell you, every time I pull out on Maple, you have to watch very, very carefully. There's little kids going to school, there's bikers, there's people walking dogs. It's nonstop. And I am, I'm not on my phone. I'm not texting when I pull up because I know how dangerous it is. So you put some duplexes or apartments, and they're all going out in one driveway. There's no other way they can get out. It's very, very dangerous. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak? Again, please come to the podium, your name and address, and you have, we'll have 3 minutes. How many more speakers would like to speak on this? Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Patricia. I've got a cold, so I apologize. My name is Patricia Pollard. I live at 220 South Glen Eagles. I'm on the bike pathway. I'm 5 houses down from the intersection. I have seen traffic that has been unbelievable. That is the thing that is concerns. The other one is the infrastructure of our gas and water and electrical lines. All of those in the neighborhood have buried electrical lines. I can just about bet if we get a complex in apartments, they will not be buried in that area. That's going to be a sight sore that is going to enjoy. Another thing is the gas lines follow along the main roads, but the roads is an area on the left side of this the tiny town, and that's where the water is for that whole area went through. And there's not any trees in that area for that reason. I'm concerned about how those major utilities are going to be structured with 50 units, or people that holds up to 50 units. There's a long possibility that we're not going to have the pressure, the electrical service, and gas lines that we're used to having this time. That's my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please. And again, we'll need your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes, please.
Thank you. My name is Ann Barr. I live at 7734 Harmony Street. My comments is that we are in a very vulnerable area. When my husband and I moved there 34 years ago, there was a wheat field south of Maple. There was so much open space. It was been rezoned and rezoned and rezoned all over the place. And it seems like when there's a house on Maple Street between our home and Ridge Road, it was turned into a strip mall. There in north of Outback, there's another strip mall that came in just the last 6 months. Every home that's on the borders of those streets could be rezoned. We have our compacted housing area there. We can bend, but please don't break us. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker. Again, your name, address, and you have 3 minutes, please.
Yes, my name is John Barr. I live at 7734 Harmony Street. Harmony Street is on the north side of the depicted area. We have old growth trees. Oh, it's a beautiful street to walk down. So we get a lot of people walking down that street. They're walking their dogs. The grandparents are walking their grandkids. It's a busy pedestrian area. Just on the west side there, that is a city bike path. We have a lot of pedestrian traffic. We've got some e-bikes, we've got some scooters, we got a lot of things going on in that area. The streets aren't made for a lot more traffic to go there. And as has been mentioned, a lot of us feel that if people coming out of that new development, they're not going to be able to turn left. There's going to be too much traffic. It's going too fast. They're going to go take a right, take a right, take a right, and go down to the light at Ashley Park, and that'll bring them straight through all of that traffic, all that pedestrian traffic that I just mentioned to you. So please do the right thing. Please don't impact our neighborhood. We have a great neighborhood. I can get into the garage doors of about anybody around me. That's the kind of camaraderie that we have in that neighborhood. So please don't disrupt that. Please vote no. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please, your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Roger Douglas, 149 South Glen Eagles Road. I can tell you, I've been doing the surveys and getting ready for the petitions for this next phase of this thing. And I have 90% of the residents that back up the property and across the street are already in my possession. I just hope and pray you guys don't destroy our community and let this developer have what he bought. What originally purchased was single family, should stay single family. It's going to be hurting my entire community if he doesn't do that. This guy is so incompetent. He just gave you an overlay saying he's going to put a fence on the south side and the north side and the west. It's supposed to be east, west, and north. He doesn't know what the heck he's doing. All I can tell you is that everything he does is like a carpetbagger. He just destroys the community around it and sells it and packages and goes on. Our community's been there for over 40 years. We've been in our house for over 40 years. We built it, custom built it, and we just love our community, all our neighbors and friends. And if you guys approve this, you will be destroying our community. Thank you for your time. And I did want to do one thing, is that I do appreciate your community service, because this is a lot you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter? This is going to be your final call. Does anyone else like to speak? Please come to the podium. Be careful.
Lori Horse, 7721 West 2nd Street. And I live in Glen Eagles, but I do know this was something that came up at the last meeting and I didn't think anybody addressed it yet. There are 2 swimming pools and a pond, and they already have issues with people that are not from the neighborhood using those facilities, jumping the fence into the pool, things like that. We put in, 50 houses or apartments, whatever, and we have all of these additional kids that maybe don't realize the rules. They see these pools, they see that pond. That's going to possibly impact insurance rates, homeowners dues, things like that, to cover additional liabilities for any incidences that happen at those particular places. So we also have a playground, and that's for residents, not the general public. So that's all I got to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this?
I'm slow.
What time is slow?
Name's John Larson. My wife and I, Sharon, live at 225 South Ashley Park. Our issue is a traffic and safety issue we have. I'd like to focus on the traffic and safety issue. The staff report concludes the existing infrastructure to accommodate this development. However, no traffic impact have been studied that have been completed. The concerns that me, because the proposal will allow 60 to 70 more residential units with single point access. We already covered that, I think. Residents who use this every day experience congestion and delays at the stoplight, kids. It's just a dangerous situation for everybody. Traffic is just not a simple convenience issue. It's a public safety issue. Families walk in this neighborhood, walk their dogs, children ride their bikes. School safety already exists in the area. Before approving a permanent zoning change, I believe the commission should have objective data rather than assumptions. If the impacts are truly manageable, traffic studies should demonstrate that. Till then, I respectfully ask you recommend denial of this rezoning. Thanks for your time. Appreciate all your services.
And thank you, sir. Is there anyone else from the audience that'd like to speak? This is the final call. Anyone else from the audience would like to speak? Seeing none, we will bring it back for the agent for the applicant for rebuttal. Yeah.
Okay. The comment about the fence, actually, I guess I'm the incompetent one because I wrote the note, and it should be west, north, and east and not south. So I think we wanted to reflect that in the comments. I did get a hold of the developer and ask him about second floor decks, and he said no, there will not be any. And this was heard roughly 2 years ago, and it was submitted as a multifamily development, not a duplex development. So the comments made at the DAB meeting 2 years ago were based on it being a multifamily as opposed to a duplex development. And I think that there's some confusion thinking that somehow we can develop this as a duplex or zone it duplex and then still put in multifamily. And that's not something we're allowed to do. And that's not the plan either. The plan is to do duplexes. Be glad to answer any questions.
Is there any questions or comments for the agent? Saying none, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
We will bring him back for the commission for discussion. Commissioner Fry?
Thank you, sir. So I'm a big proponent of property rights and the fact that the neighbors in this area bought and built their homes knowing that it was SF5 that they were backing up to on 3 sides. So I respect that. And so therefore I cannot recommend approval on this, but my denial is also coming with reservations and caution. This property is eventually going to be developed, whether it's single family homes or eventually some other type of TF3. This may have been the best chance to create a conditional use that could be amenable and friendly to the neighboring community. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like that's going to happen here today, at least in my opinion. You could end up with single family that are much less valuable than the existing neighborhood, and much smaller and a lot less property tax value. So again, that is the reservations and the caution. It's unfortunate that something hasn't been worked out with the neighborhood that everyone could agree on. I know that's impossible in this day and age. But going back to my original opening statement, with this being SF5 surrounding on 3 sides, and everybody expected that, it's hard to see a zone change. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else? Commissioner Maynard? Yes.
Pardon me. When we did hear this a couple of years ago, I was in opposition to it then again for the same reason that Commissioner Fry mentioned. Maybe some patio homes, maybe some 0 lot line homes, something to, as several of these people have suggested, they'd like to retire right here into a patio home. So I would also oppose it because they bought adjacent to single family. I think they deserve to live next to single family.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, as a reminder, you'd asked staff to comment on the proposed additional protective overlay conditions that the applicant submitted after we took testimony. So I just wanted to hear from staff.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner, for the reminder. I'm going to request that Director Whalen make your comment on this, please.
Sure. And just first note, of course, we're just seeing this for the first time during this meeting, but a few quick thoughts are, on number 1, they specify a cedar fence. Typically, we just would specify a wooden fence, but this is very specific about the type of material. The second thing was then the directions, that's already been covered. On number 2, there could be some text to further clarify that it's on each lot as opposed to one large lot, just to provide some clarification on that. Number 4, the setbacks, front building setbacks should be platted at 20 feet. The standard in TF3 zoning district is 25 feet. So there's a discrepancy there. Now, of course, they can plat that at a lesser distance, but I just want you to know that there's a difference from what the standard is for TF3.
So that lesser distance, would that require a administrative adjustment?
That would be one vehicle, but they could also plat it and the plat would override the zoning
Okay, thank you.
in that instance. There was also the configuration of the property. We're not exactly certain. Maybe I missed it, but not exactly certain how it would be laid out. So I don't know about the directions that are provided in terms of front back distances and how that would achieve what they're saying that they're trying to achieve. So we can't confirm or I guess comment too much on that without knowing the details. The number 5, the issue of the second story decks or patios, that was resolved, but is not in writing, but it was resolved verbally. Number 6, landscaping shall be plants, trees, shrubs, and grass. Well, all of those are categories of plants, so it's just an interesting language, but I think those are the main comments just from our initial blush. I will turn to Philip and I'll turn to JR if there's anything I missed.
Will be taken care of during plotting, correct?
Well, actually, no. A lot of what we're identifying is just questions that we have about the text and what it's intended, and could there be a little bit of a different phrase here and there. The one thing that would be resolved during the planning or could be resolved would be the front building setback at 20 feet as opposed to 25. But the others are all things that would have, this is the language that would govern that. So
if there was a motion to approve this, we can make that contingent upon these additional submittal from the agent be rectified before any permits and so forth.
You could also, since this is a rezoning, and I would assume it will be protested, it will go to the city council. So you could provide, we would prefer to have, the preference is to have the language clearly identified what it's going to be. You can also provide a recommendation to the city council that in general, this is what we want to see achieved. And then we could work on it. That's not preferred, but you do have that flexibility.
Okay.
I think JR has an addition.
If I may, on item number 7 on the addition of protective overlay, it says no adjacent structures shall have identical front views. So adjacent for us means nearby or close. Abutting means actually touching, so side by side. I'm not exactly sure what the goal is. I would assume it would mean every single unit, 2 units side by side are not going to have the same facade, but I'm not certain of that. So a little clarification on that might be in order.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like there are still a few issues on this. Commissioner Joe Johnson?
I move for denial.
Good.
You have 3 of them.
Okay, we have a motion for denial by Commissioner Joe Johnson. We have a dual second. Commissioner Fry, any additional comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a substitute motion to defer this for 2 weeks to give the applicant an opportunity to work with staff to address some clarifications in the additional overlays.
I'll second that. Before we do that, 2 weeks is, we got a little late. So the next available time will be July 9th. Am I correct on that?
July 9th then.
Okay, so you would amend it to July 9th?
Yes, agree.
And I'm sorry, who made the second? Commissioner Bill Johnson made a second until July 9th. We will take that vote. In favor of the alternate motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Aye. Okay, we have a show of hands, please. And the audience, please.
If we could, sir, may we do a roll call?
Yes. Yeah.
It's very helpful. Okay, this is on the substitute motion to defer. Aldrich,
Yes.
Zibelman,
No.
Fry,
Nay.
Mater,
No.
McKay,
No.
Dool,
No.
Bill Johnson,
Yes.
High,
No.
Clontz is absent. Warren,
Yes.
Joe Johnson,
No.
Austin,
Yes.
Williams Bay,
No.
and we have the vacant position. And 4 in favor and 8 opposed.
Okay, that motion failed. We will go back to the original motion. Can we repeat that motion, please?
Deny.
Deny. Go on, hey, boys and girls. Yeah. Okay. The original motion, Mr. Ross, did you have a comment?
Yes, I think the proper procedures under Robert's rules is to take additional comment on the motion for denial. And so I had a question for some of the people who didn't want to defer it to give them an opportunity. Part of the reason why I feel like we need to defer it is because I feel like this is a good use for that property. And I agree with Commissioner Fry's comments about you sometimes get what you ask for. There is an opportunity here, I think, to make this compatible should we provide some additional items, for instance, not having the stacked duplexes like what we see at 13th and McLean, or making sure that we have conditions that we don't have decks off the back of it, or maybe even slightly reducing some of the density. The other thing that I think is also a concern that I hear on the duplex developments is the subdividing of ownership. And so one of the provisions that hasn't been addressed is an owners association to make sure that we maintain some compatibility and some standards in terms of the design conditions. And that was why I made that motion for deferral, because I think there's an opportunity to beef this up, to make it more compatible, to address the neighbors' concerns and to address what Commissioner Fry was talking about. We're charged with orderly development. We know, and you guys know it, you've all served a lot longer than I have on the planning commission, but I think this property needs to be developed. I remember when Kent Brown had it as Brown's Botanica 30 years ago. It operated as a commercial enterprise on this property. And, it's maybe in some ways it's unfortunate it didn't maintain its commercial status. So I respect and appreciate the Ashley Park neighborhood. I've worked with them over the years many times when I was an advocate for property owners. We need to do something with the land. We need to do it in a thoughtful manner. I think we have an opportunity to do that. And so we just ask for that consideration again from the other commissioners.
Thank you for the comments. Any additional comments from the commission? If not, we will call the vote. All in favor of the motion to deny, signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. Aye. Let's do a roll call on this, please.
Yes, sir. Aldrich, Zibelman,
Yes.
Fry, if this is for denial, yes.
Yes.
Mater,
Yes.
McKay,
Yes.
Dool,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
No.
High,
Yes.
Clontz is absent. Warren,
No.
Joe Johnson, Austin, Williams Bay,
Yes.
vacant.
The motion to deny was approved. They show 8-4, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
If we have any other business to discuss, if not, this meeting is adjourned.
Yep. I needed a snack an hour ago.